background here from BSG. Again, I'll put a link down in the description. It's making fun of YouTubers. It's actually kind of funny, but it's talking about dynamic loot within regards to loot boxes and crates now. Nikita said cash and weapon boxes and stuff. So don't know what this affects. Don't know if it's like jackets, duffel bags, med boxes, crates, all of I don't know what it's affecting. He made it sound like it was already active, but I think it was a misspeak, or they haven't turned it on yet, because I've been running around and I haven't noticed anything missing. Stuff is everywhere where they said it was. So this will just be more on the dynamic loot side of things, and we'll have to see how it plays out. I'm not sure yet. As soon as I know, I'll let you guys know more information. But right now, it seems to be either in limbo or really rare. Now, in addition to this, Nikita mentioned that they have banned 25,000 cheaters in the month of March. About 25,000. This was done through new features with BattleEye, stuff BSG's doing themselves. And then Nikita added on top of that something big is coming, something that's going to make things a lot harder. Here, you can hear Nikita's words for himself.
And again, it's not done yet, because we plan to do something big that will actually break a lot of stuff for cheaters and for cheat developers, so they not be able to make cheats easy. It's not easy right now, but after this feature, after this update, it will be totally nightmare for them. And this is it.
Then after that, he gets into talking about Unity 2021, which he knew's coming, but specifically, he got into specifics of why it'll help. It's going to help with optimization, so on their end, they can get more stuff done more quickly, make the game run better, and it'll just make the game run better as it is as the engine upgrades. You're going to be able to update the graphics, which is a big deal, make the game look better. Memory consumption is going to be reduced, was something he mentioned, which that's huge for a lot of people, because it's getting to the point now where some of these maps you have to have 32 gigs of RAM even to play the map, or enjoy it at least when you're on it. And then it also, he didn't mention this, but this is something from some of the research I've done. It does have implication on cheating as well. There are some of the stuff that the cheaters use in their programs that exploits the engine itself. Stuff that's kind of out of BSG's hands. It's really complicated, but nonetheless, hopefully these updates to Unity not just make the game run better and things smoother, it makes it harder on the cheaters, more difficult for them to get away with their shitty shenanigans. Now, in kind of how Nikita does things, he kind of bounces around a lot. So there's going to be some stuff that I'm not going to say that's right, simply because we don't know exactly what Nikita meant. I've asked BSG for a little clarification on a couple of things, but it'll probably be a couple of days before I hear on that. The biggest thing that they mentioned was a technical patch in May, a big one, another big one in May. The list of things here that they went through is they are the quote is fundamental change of architecture, visualization, and synchronization of players on the client and their connection to the server. So this has to do with how the game deals with basically information sent and how your computer analyzes it and the servers and all that stuff. And the goal is they want to get more players on the map, and on certain maps like Streets, they want to push it to 60 possible players. But what this means for other maps that don't have 60 players is the game will run more smoothly, less lag, less hiccups, less kind of issues with loss of data, packet loss, all that kind of stuff. That's the end goal. Essentially, less info going through the hose. The data line makes the overall gaming experience that much more smooth to use. Now, probably one of the biggest things Nikita mentioned was them redesigning the core of the game code. They're going to rewrite everything from the ground up, it sounds like. They're bringing extra people in, maybe using some technology. Kind of flipped his words a little bit there. I'm not sure exactly what he meant. But regardless, this is massive. A lot of the problems people know we have in Tarkov are based on the quote-unquote spaghetti code. So this is going to be a process of unraveling that. They're going to take a while. It's going to make the game run better. Hopefully it's going to make updates faster, easier, more efficient. But it's going to be ongoing for the rest of the year. This isn't going to be something that's like, boom, they're done with it next week and we see the reward. Nikita specifically said the rest of the year. So it's going to be ongoing, and we probably won't even see the fruits of this labor for a very long time. So quick blurb, not really a lot to say about it, but it is hugely important. Now, Nikita had his fancy little piece of paper. He had a bunch of goals he was talking about, very specific things that the team has and what they're working on. It started off with obviously increasing the number of players on Streets to 60, and they're going to do that gradually, and not on every location. Obviously, not 60 players on Factory, other than maybe an event or something. But that process of doing that will make everything else run better. In addition, they want to work specifically on hit registration, which is huge. They want to increase FPS. They want to give us all the FPS they can. They want to decrease desync and just generally increase network optimizations, which that's piled into a bunch of other stuff that we've talked about already. And then the next big one is talking about refining the culling system. Now, I'm gonna have this playing in the background. Nikita pulled up a video that kind of displayed it. Doesn't do a good job, but it shows that they're working on these new process of culling. And what culling is basically it makes it to where if you can't see an object, it doesn't render it. So like if you've got something on the other side of a wall from you, it doesn't show up. So your game's not worried about trying to make it happen. And that makes things run faster. But you'll see things pop in and out, and that's the process. Nikita talked about how what they're trying to do is make it to where that process is so fast you can't see it, and that there's no hiccups or hinges when it does happen, and they move it to where that point is. It's currently running on streets and Lighthouse and being optimized to work better, but it will be applied to all locations, which will indeed make them efficient. Now, after this, Nikita expanded on the recoil system, which was interesting to me because I didn't expect this. It's going to be reworked again. Apparently, where we're sitting right now is a stopgap to make the community a little bit happier, but there's a whole entire rework with how it functions going through. This rework has specifically to do with the auto compensation and how that whole process works, and get into where Nikita wants it. So we didn't get a ton more detail on that, but it'll be something else that's interesting that we're going to have to just kind of wait and see as the days go on. And then one thing he did specifically mention that he brought up was that the glass in the game is a huge pain in the ass, the breakable glass. It causes a lot of performance issues, which is one of the big problems on streets, and it's one of their primary focuses now to get that optimized, make it run better. It has to do with shaders and a lot of their processes. So that's kind of where they're at with streets. Another part of where they're at with streets, trying to get that to run better so everybody can be on it. After that, he talked with the boss at Lexos. There is a boss coming. A lot of you might already know this, but he kind of confirmed it. The Lexos dealership, he said it's going to be one of the last places you want to be because it's going to be really dangerous. It's going to be set up kind of fortress and hard to get into. He said think of water treatment plant on Lighthouse, something along those lines as far as difficulty getting into the map. After that, they talked about blind fire. So currently right now, blind fire works the way it does, but they're adding these newer blind fire formations here. Again, I'll throw a link down to the video if you want. But it's going to change kind of how they work, how they look. And in relation to this, they're also working on switching from right hand to left hand. Get rid of the everybody so loves to talk about right hand versus left hand. That's all in there. That's all in the process. After that, they moved on to the sound system. Their plans there for the next 6 months. They're going to continue to iterate, make each location better, work on localization, sound settings. And the next one is going to be interchange. And this is kind of a picture of what they have here. These boxes represent the different audio zones for interchange. I don't know exactly what each box means or how it functions, but the point is it's to show how complicated it is and how much is going on here as far as all the things that have to be done by hand to make each map work well. So this is the process. This is where they're at now with interchange and working through it. So hopefully we'll see that pretty soon, like they did with Shoreline and Reserve, as well as the continuing work to iterate and make the sound systems better and work properly. And then in addition to this, Nikita expanded on a couple of other specific points. And I'm looking over at my script over here because there's a ton of information just so I can make sure I get it right for you guys. They're working on reverb optimization, which has to do with how you hear sounds based on sizes of rooms and how different sizes of rooms will sound different. They've got subsystems for sound diffraction that they're working on, which basically has to do with how sound is impacted by objects in front of you, like a little sign or a bigger box and things like that, and how that can affect how you hear the sound as obstacles. Because right now there's even some bugs that'll happen that like a little ATM machine will completely occlude the audio like there was a wall there. So that's just stuff that has to be worked on bit by bit by bit, built into the new Oculus sound system. They have they're working a lot on this update for that sudden sound shift from indoor and alpha, right? We basically have two zones. If you're inside, you hear gunshots one way and ambient sounds one way. If you're outside, you hear them another. And it's just a sudden flip of a switch as soon as you go in and out of a door. Kind of jinky. Nikita even doesn't like it. They're working on systems that'll make that more gradual and more realistic sounding for everything from gunshots and ambient sounds to gear and all that kind of stuff. And speaking of that, speaking of the gear stuff, Nikita was talking about how there are sound stutters and how these specifically lead to the complete absence of sounds, which people have been running into a lot, especially in the last couple of days. Places like Shoreline and stuff like that, where it feels like you'll cross an occlusion zone or one sound place to another, and the game just doesn't recognize it, and you're still, like, your character is still in that sound box, and you're not making sound for other people, and it's really frustrating to have the sound do that. And apparently that is not just a bug, it has to do with all the different systems not working with each other. So you have Unity, DSG systems, and Oculus Audio, all of those working together, they get hung up and problems happen like this. So they're aware of it, they're working on it, they're trying to make that better. So that's the sound stutters he was talking about. And then a big one that I didn't expect, and I'm super happy to hear about, is, and we're gonna hear more about it later, he only touched on it, was subsonic cartridges. So basically what this means is, right now, there's no difference in the sound your gun makes based on subsonic or supersonic ammo. So apparently we're gonna get some quieter, maybe they're gonna make subsonic ammo quieter and regular supersonic ammo louder, I don't know. The only thing he got into specific were that there was gonna be parameters based on suppressors durability that affect not only like visual things that happen in them and certain like maybe even malfunctions or things like that, but their sound is affected by the quality of the suppressor as well. So that's a big deal. That's a huge change, especially if they get suppressors to work more realistic. It'll put incentive to actually use subsonic ammo in some ways, because it'll be near impossible to tell where you're shooting at with some guns if you're using subsonic ammo. The next little bit, Nikita kind of expanded on while Demerky was playing here, about features that are basically, he didn't use the word triage, I'm using the word triage. They're triaging new features and things they're trying to add to the game. So some things are getting cut out. They might make it to DLC, but it didn't sound like it. And he didn't give a ton of specifics. He did say that the BTR taxi on streets, that's coming. That's part of the game. Bipods, cover fire, like firing from cover or mounting from cover, as well as advanced character hitboxes and armor hitboxes. Those are coming, and we'll talk about those a little bit more in a sec. But those are in. But the customizable rig has pretty much been cut. He said he hopes it makes DLC, but he's not sure. I would not hold my breath. It doesn't sound like we're getting customizable rigs, unfortunately. But if that means that they can focus on other stuff rather than just adding tons of stuff, I actually think we're at a point in the game where we kind of just need to start buttoning stuff up and functioning properly and get the game forward and finished. Now, the next big thing we got, obviously, and everybody kind of got a little bit of, we got a sneak peek at vaulting, so some of the animations, and Nikita was super adamant that these are still a work in process, they're not finished. He didn't think they looked good, I guess. I think they look pretty good. There is some little wonkiness to them with like how you kind of float a little bit and stuff, but I don't know of any game where that hasn't happened when it comes to vaulting, because of the complexities of that system. But lots of stuff here. I'll let this whole animation play in the background as I talk, but from getting out of windows, getting up on top of obstacles, hopping over fences, hopping up on top of little boxes, all that kind of little stuff looks like it's coming with these various animations, which is going to make movement around Tarkov change pretty substantially in certain places, especially if no longer you can do some of the like really quick movements, the parkour where you jump through windows and get through stuff a lot quicker because you don't have to mantle it or hurdle it. You can just jump right over it, right? But the trade-off is the ability to move places that sometimes you can't because you get stuck. Then after this, we got a pretty cool sneak peek of Trader UI. They're upgrading the Trader UI, and this is huge. They only played around here a little bit, but the long and short of it is it's going to make it a lot easier to click through the different menus, and just less clicks to get stuff sold, to get through your tasks, all of that kind of stuff. So it's just a UI upgrade, which is super cool. It's super big deal. Something the game's needed for a very long time, and it's going to be a welcome addition from most people's point of views, I think. And then in the continuation of the UI kind of quality of life stuff, they showed us a very early representation of a preset screen, which is playing right here now, which means it looks like you're going to be able to like pick out the guns, maybe even your, not just your guns, but your gear, maybe even like the specific attachments, maybe even ammo in your mags, the whole 9 yards. Save it, and then with a couple of clicks, either whether it's based on your inventory or whatever, you can gear up with everything and get into raid to really cut down on that out of raid time you spend in your stash, which is a huge deal. I think that is something the game really needs. So seeing that coming is going to be is really exciting for me, and I'm happy for it. It's just going to make the game better. Now, not quite as big of a deal, but also something that is going to impact gameplay. They brought up the new friends list, how it's going to function. And with this, here, let me get out of the way actually real quick. With this, you can see there's some stuff here for arena even, some ranking systems. There's obviously new character picture faces. There's a lot more interactivity here and a lot more information you can get from looking at people, which is pretty cool. We'll just have to see where it goes and what else it gives us. Now, after this, we ended up with a bunch of gun previews, if you will. The one behind me right now is the 9A91. It is I think it's a submachine gun technically. It's a 9x39, so same thing as the VSS, the same ammo. But it's a new addition to that. Something a little more compact, harder hitting than some of the other guns out there for sure. So just a cool little addition, a Russian gun that's out there. And then after that, we have the AK-12, and its whole lineup is how Nikita perused it without getting into a bunch of info about the AK-12.
It's too far
There's
away.
a whole bunch of variants and things with it. So it's going to be a whole bunch of new weapons, depending on how they added there. He was showing here about just the detail that they can get into on the guns if they want, and how they're basically ready to go. So I think they're just kind of ready to filter them in just to keep content coming. We're also going to get the SVD-40. Which is behind me right now, this is a Mosin mated with an SKS. This is a semi-auto. It shoots 7.62 by 54R box mags. This thing is going to be a nightmare in the game, especially early wiper. It's going to be a great thing for low-level players to run because it's going to hit hard. SVD, poor man's SVD, if you will. And then after that, they hard. This Mosin mated with an SKS. This is a semi-auto Mosin. It shoots 7.62 by 54R box mags. This thing is going to be a nightmare in the game, especially early wiper. It's going to be a great thing for low-level players to run because it's going to hit hard. SVD, poor man's SVD. And then after that, they showed us the GL40 being attached to Scars finally. That's where this thing's already been in the game. It's been in for a while. It's a standalone weapon, but it's designed to be attached to various Scars. So it'll go on 5.56. This is 5.56 here, but it'll go on 5.56 and hopefully 7.62 as well. Just another attachment piece there that's super cool, fun to have. This is another Russian 9x39 weapon called the VSK. It's a designated marksman rifle, if I remember correctly. It's kind of similar to the 9A91 in the same way that the VSS and the ASVAL are similar to each other, but kind of not. You got to be a gun guy to really care about that stuff in the game. It's just going to be another weapon that shoots 9x39. This suppressor isn't integrated. It's thread-on, so you could go with or without a suppressor on it. And this might have something to do with some of the subsonic ammo kind of stuff they were talking about, because these are the kind of guns that will really benefit from that kind of sound system. Now, as Nikita was talking later on, he kind of jumped around a little bit. He mentioned the MP40, which is the German submachine gun. It's going to be added because somebody on the team wanted it on the Switch. Lucky that you can just want a gun like that and it gets added. Where's the Thompson, Nikita? The Thompson actually is in Russia. It's all over the place thanks to Lemony Sack. I don't know about the MP40. Thompson is, so give me Thompson, please. I would love to have that. But he also mentioned the PKM and the RPD as being on a list of weapons that are coming, which go Google those if you don't know what they are and figure what that's going to be like having those in Tarkov. They will be nightmares to fight against. Now, we got a taste of the advanced armor that I talked about later. The advanced armor hitboxes as well as replaceable plates. You can see here he's got a Gazelle. They've got front, back, left side, right side, partially damaged plates, things that can change in and out, as well as some kind of weird neck armor. I'm not super familiar with the Gazelle on what that is, but you can see there's some kind of neck armor piece for it. So as far as what plates are going to go where, what can go in what, we don't know yet. This might just be a test bed. This might not be representative of what we're going to see at all. But you'll have the potential to put armor, the more advanced hitboxes, not just with armor, but with our characters as well, as far as sides, fronts, backs, looks like neck even, things like that are all in the works, pretty far advanced as well. Now, the next one Nikita got into, this one wasn't all that big of a deal for a lot of people, but I think it's really cool. They're adding animations to the hideout. We got a little bit of a taste of this before. So when you go into a module, your PMC is going to be doing things at each module. It just adds a little bit of immersion, makes it look a little bit cooler, a little bit more plugged into what's going on. So that's kind of nice. Again, not a huge deal. Some people aren't even going to care about it, but it's something he brought up. I figured I'd point it out. Now, he didn't get into a lot of detail because he wants to talk about it later. We're going to get some kind of ammo loading interface. And to me, I asked for clarification from BSP. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but to me what it sounds like is with your presets and things like that for loading mags. I don't think this has to do with like animation and raid or crafting or anything like that. I think it specifically has to do with loading mags, getting ammo into mags based on kind of a preset. Now after that, we got what was a pretty good arena teaser. I'm going to give you a little bit of it here. I'll put a link that links, because there's no link to this anywhere yet. This is like a teaser video. We didn't get any video clips of this yet, so I'll link to the timestamp on the VOD on Twitch so you can go watch it for yourself. It's pretty cool. The audio, things like that. It got to the end. Nikita was talking. He was muted and didn't realize it, so we missed out on some of that. I'll fast forward here to that part just a little bit, but he was going through screenshots, and then when he was talking about these various screenshots, he mentioned afterwards that there's a rank system. There's 2 game modes right now: team fight and shootout. There's team fights 5v5, shootouts 2v2, 3v3. There's new matchmaking that's being designed specifically for arena that will make its way into Tarkov as well, probably, which is kind of cool. I don't know if that means there's going to be like a rank system, so you don't get like newbies and chads playing against each other. I doubt it, because Nikita said he doesn't want that, but maybe it's a system that makes the matchmaking happen a little bit quicker. On top of that, there is going to be tons of custom game mode options to do things like that. Just tons of options you can do with AI and other settings you can do outside of the competitive side. And then the last thing he mentioned was that the tick rate is going to be for the server, specifically for arena, are going to be higher and at esports standards. He didn't say standards, he used another word, I can't remember what it was, but higher tick rate servers for both arena. He did mention Lightkeeper briefly. He doesn't really give any information on it. He doesn't want to spoil it. It's end game content. Mechanics coming for Lightkeeper. We don't know when. We don't know any more than that. That's pretty much all he said. Now, during the process of the podcast, he spit out a couple of promo codes. These work different. They're promo codes. They've worked different in the past. They've never done this. There's a couple of ways you can redeem them. The simplest one is to go to your launcher, go to activate code, and you just type the codes in. I can't type them in for you. You put the codes in the description. They are one word, podcast night, Unity 2022, vaulting, streets boss, 60 players. So there's 5 of them. They're one-word mashed together. I can show you on the messenger. Actually, I haven't even selected mine yet. Here's what they are. You can pause the thing. You know, podcast night, Unity 2021, vaulting, streets boss, 60 players, right? And it's pretty good stuff. So go get your free shit. I don't know how long it's gonna last. Hopefully a little while. So those that weren't necessarily watching the podcast or watching it late or getting home from work tonight or tomorrow when you watch this, go get all of this stuff. I mean, you see there's a graphics card, a fuel, a moonshine, Tetris, some other valuable items, some stuff you can craft with, a dog tag case, almost forgot about that, defib, all that kind of stuff. Non-full trade, but you can still use the craft, you can still use the barter, you can vendor it, whatever you want to do, it's all in there for you to use, so make sure you go get that. Now, playing in the background behind me right now is the Chronicles of Rigi, just started. I'm only going to do a little bit of the intro. I don't want to spoil it for you. Go watch it. Link has everything else. The link's down in the description. It's really good. It's entertaining. It's fun to watch. And it's important for the game. It actually ties in directly with the game because we got our first event out of this. And the event might kind of tip you off a little bit as to what happens in the Chronicles of Rigi, but we'll pause it. I'll open up the game, and we'll talk about the event. We'll do a little video on just a little bit ago. If you already saw it, great. If not, let me point this out to everybody who has not. Therapist sent us a message talking about how somebody's shot, her friend needs bandages to help this person. It's injured, and it's somebody that's super important, influential, blah, 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 blah. And what it did is it opens up this task on Therapist. If you go look right here, where you got to turn in bandages, army bandages, things like that. And they don't have to be found for anything. You can quite literally go to Therapist. You can buy 200, you do 100 of each, 100 regular bandages and 100 army bandages. And then you come back to her, or I guess I didn't have to leave it, but then you can turn these in. Did I buy the wrong thing? I bought 200, whatever. So you can do that. You just click that auto button. I'll do it again for those who don't see it. You go into Therapist, buy 200 army bandages, and then I go to tasks, you turn in, you click auto, and boom, you turn in everything. Rewards, I can't put these things, I don't remember exactly what they are. But importantly, we get another global statistic thing going on here. We're looking for people to help We got to get 10 million bandages turned in, which is a lot. It's a shitload. So once we get there, and that's a combination. You can turn all of one kind or the other in, so do whatever you want. We don't know how it's going to progress, but based on what's happened in previous wipes, events lead to one thing after another, and more episodes of Chronicle of Origi, and things going on in game as far as events and things like that. So pretty exciting. Though the conspiracy theorist in me says hang on to some extra bandages or the components to craft them, because after this maybe we have a shortage of bandages because 10 million is quite a lot of bandages to go through. But that is the event that has started and is going on right now. So I'll do my part. I'll get a bunch of these thrown in, get a little bit of screen time tonight. Spend some of my 50 million for a good cause. We'll see how many I can do before I get bored doing it 200 at a time. But do your bit if you want. If you don't, that's you. It's a video game. We'll get there eventually, no matter what. But with that, we'll wrap it up. Appreciate you guys hanging out and watching, especially if you're a video like this. Recap. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Help me out because I helped you out. That's the only thing I ask from you guys is a little bit of support on that end. Don't hesitate to go check out my music on Spotify. It's free. It supports me. If you're a content creator, you can use it on your YouTube or in your Twitch stream without fear of DMCA takedowns or copyright strikes. Just make sure you attribute us. That's all we ask. Go check it out. Let me know what kind of music you like. Again, link down in the description. We'll wrap her up there. Appreciate you guys watching. Wish you the best of luck in your raids. We'll see
Hell yeah. Lucky. Nice. Let's see.
I need to get closer.
That fire one is so loud. Just turn that down in the game a little, I think.
It has recently come to my attention.
I don't have a target. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't drink anymore.
cloth upgrade. Nice. Keep forgetting to turn the volume down. Should do that soon. Stay there. System, sound effect volume. So that's good.
That's still recharging.
attention that Clayface is going to be a part of the Batman 2. Now, whether he's the big pile of shit. Imagine you were a comic book fan, and you went to your comic book store every day to buy the latest issue of Superman, let's say. But you got bold, and you wanted to become Superman, and you were named after Superman, and you had all these similarities to him, yet there was something missing. But yet one day you wish upon a star that you could fly the far reaches of the stars just like Superman. Then that wish comes true. What do you do with that power? How do you use it? Do you become like Superman? Or do you become
I need a
far
target.
worse? Today we're going to talk about Superboy Prime. Now in comic book culture, Superboy Prime is actually known to be one of the most ruthless villains in comic book history to date. And in my opinion, is probably the strongest Superman because he was able to destroy the dimensional barrier and cause a cosmic shift throughout the entire universe. When he did this, it kind of changed a ton of things in the DC universe, and it also brought back Jason Todd, my most favorite change in this. But his story is kind of sad because during Crisis on Infinite Earths, he lost his home planet, and he was kind of forced to become a monster. He was left stranded in a world that he knew was fictional, and he kind of looked at the DC universe as though it just meant nothing. Like, everything he did just had no consequence. He became extremely pessimistic towards superheroes and actually almost killed Crypto, the super dog, which is really fucking messed up. He took his anger out on one of the older Supermen from the Crisis on Infinite Earths event.
Inventory is full.
Nearly beating him to death. He killed 32 Green Lanterns all at once, and was pretty much responsible for the death of Connor Kent. Yeah, this dude doesn't play around. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in current continuity, like 2018, he killed, I think, 2 or 3 Earths on like some separate storyline, but I'm not too sure. And he's so powerful that no matter what prison he's held in, including the Speed Force, he's always escaped. But after everything kind of got changed due to New 52, Convergence, Rebirth, all of these events, we didn't really see Superboy Prime for maybe about 20 years. At least the original version. But he did make an appearance in DC's Death Metal, a very edgy event involving the Darkest Knight, a version of Batman that's just pure evil. And to briefly explain who the Darkest Knight is, he's a version of the Batman who laughs that put his brain inside of a Bruce Wayne that became Dr. Manhattan. I know, it sounds crazy, but bear with me. His entire goal is to make the entire multiverse dark. Like, evil as can be, no hope in it, just the darkest multiverse. Because he's the Darkest Knight. This would all end up coming to a head in a one-shot issue called Secret Origin involving Superboy Prime kind of redeeming himself and defeating the Darkest Knight. The story starts off with Clark Kent, Superboy Prime, reading some comic books in a convenience store. But it's kind of brought to a grinding halt because bullies come in and they want to bother him. They start to pick on the younger Superboy Prime, making fun of him for reading comic books, and at this time, he idolizes comics, like Superman. They rip up the comics, and he just wishes that he has enough power to stop them, but he's just forced to watch his bully rip up his Superman comic. But luckily for Clark, his best friend Lori comes in and saves the day, and they kind of start to form a unbreakable bond. They would start to go out on several different dates, and he would quickly fall in love with her. But following this, the two would actually agree to go out on a Halloween date, and Clark would dress up as Superman for the date. They would start to walk on the beach, but
Inventory
Clark would start
is full.
acting weird. He would start saying to her that he hears somebody calling to him, almost as if he could just fly up in the air right now. But then he would quickly land on his face and just forget about it. However, right after he fell, he would see a shooting star, and he would actually make the wish to be able to be like Superman Superman. He would end up flying into space and meeting Superman for the first time, and he would become extremely ecstatic because he started meeting all of his favorite heroes. But soon after this, the Crisis on Infinite Earths event would happen, and everything that he ever knew would be completely destroyed. And after many years, he would try to accept it that he could never go back to that world. But when he was given the chance to, he kind of flipped out, and superheroes made him out to be a villain. So in a way, too, he kind of flipped out that he could never go back to that world, but when he was given the chance to, he kind of flipped out, and superheroes made him out to be a villain.
I can't
so
carry
in a way,
anymore.
He kind of lost it, and I mean, I don't blame him. But switching over to present day, we see that this Superman is more pessimistic, and he doesn't care about the world anymore and what happens. He knows that everything will be fine. He's also confused as to what's taking place and why everyone looks so different, and why the group of Supermen need him to defeat Batman. And while he just sits off alone, he uses his super hearing to hear the different groups talk about him, and he's basically an outcast. Nobody wants him on their team because they don't trust him. But then Krypto sits by his side, and at first Superboy Prime kind of wants Krypto to walk away. But as soon as Superboy Prime is shown the slightest bit of affection, he kind of lets loose, and he is happy again for a short time. However, this moment leaves as quickly as it came.
Inventory
because
is
Connor ends
full.
up running over to him and telling him to get away from the dog.
I can't
This
carry.
starts a little skirmish between the two, but then it's quickly interrupted by a huge group of Supermen, all from the dark multiverse.
Inventory
Superboy
is
Prime
full.
immediately leaps in to clash with all of the Supermen, and as he punches a few of them, he starts to see his old world again. And as he fights more and more of these Supermen, he starts to see different worlds, so he flies up into space to see if they actually exist, and they do. So Superboy Prime gets the idea that maybe he can use these worlds to kill the Darkest Knight and get his old world back. And this plan actually ends up working. He ends up landing a hit on the Darkest Knight, and he gets flashes of a world that could exist with him in it. So Superboy Prime starts to go berserk on the Darkest Knight, not letting him get a chance to breathe at all. However, when the Darkest Knight does get a chance to speak, he starts to proclaim that the Superboy Prime is not that different from him, and that they should work together. But Superboy Prime refuses to listen as he keeps beating on the Darkest Knight because he
I
wants
can't
his
carry
old world
anymore.
back. This all ends up coming to a head with Superboy Prime actually defeating the Darkest Knight, and that if Superboy Prime deals the finishing blow, he can take the Darkest Knight's powers and fix the world that he lost. But in order to do so, he would have to destroy the DC Universe entirely. But before he can deal the finishing blow, Krypto is there to stop him. In that moment, Superboy Prime realizes that he can't destroy this universe to save his own. He has to be the hero of the story, otherwise he's no different from the Darkest Knight. So the Darkest Knight starts to beg him to help him in his journey to make every other world dark, and so he can have his old world back, saying to Superboy Prime that the people down there don't care about him. They all hate him. They're not worth fighting for. Join me, and you can have your old life back. Superboy Prime starts to think it over. He wants to say yes. He wants to be that hero that he could have been, to shine like all the other heroes do. Be like a hero that he never could be. But in that life, he doesn't have his parents. He doesn't have Lori. So he doesn't see a reason to be in this world. And in that moment of clarity,
Inventory
he
is
screams to
full.
Krypto to get out of there, and he starts to lay out on the Darkest Knight, seemingly killing the Darkest Knight and shattering the world that he could have been, sacrificing his dreams for the greater good. And once the dust has finally settled, Superboy Prime is laid to rest, Krypto over him. But in the next page, he's transported to an alternate world, one where he's reading the very moment that he died. And looking around, it's his old room, and Lori comes through the door, and he realizes that he's been given a second chance. Lori ends up kind of confused and asks Clark if he's okay, but he just shrugs it off and says
I can't
it's nothing.
carry
It's just
anymore.
the story he was reading, and that they should go outside and hang out for a bit. He needs the fresh air. And right as they start to leave, a dog comes flying onto Clark's lap. And I'm just going to assume that this is Krypto as a normal dog. A little bit after this, once Clark gets outside, he feels the sun on his face, and he knows that this world is his own. This isn't a trick. This is all real. The three of them start walking around the block, and Clark asks Lori if she remembers the time he flew on the beach. It was the same night that they made their plan together, and the same night that they learned that Clark didn't have powers. However, as they're discussing this, a kid drops his ball in the street running for it, and Clark instantly leaps towards the car to try and help the kid no matter what. No matter if he doesn't have the powers, he has to try. And it's seemingly the end of his story. But that's the thing with comic books, right? They never really do end. They just leave you with a to be continued. Today we're going to talk about the most jealous, the most infuriating, and the most pick-me version of a villain ever conceived. The Reverse Flash. This guy is practically the definition of a no-life. The Reverse Flash, also known as Eobard Thawne, has made it his personal mission to torment the life of Barry Allen. He's a complete psycho through and through, going through so many lengths just to ruin one man's life. It's pretty pathetic. He's the literal embodiment of a troll in a comment section. But today I'm going to go over all of the messed up things that the Reverse Flash has done to Barry Allen over the years. So sit back and enjoy the video. When Eobard Thawne was just a kid in the 25th century, he idolized the Flash, so much so that he wanted to be him. Eobard Thawne would then find a time capsule from the 21st century containing the Flash's suit, and this would bestow upon him some of the powers of the Flash. However, having the same powers and the same costume as the Flash didn't make him the Flash. And there wasn't much crime, so he made his own crime to save the day. You can already see the red flags popping. But out of sheer coincidence, Barry Allen would actually travel to the 25th century after an accident on the cosmic treadmill. And one of the first people that Barry Allen would actually interact with was Eobard Thawne, and Eobard Thawne was ecstatic to meet the real Flash. Eobard Thawne would show Barry Allen the wonders of the 25th century, stop a few crimes, and even compare notes about the Speed Force. They would end up both having an amazing time, and Eobard Thawne would even recollect on this moment time and time again and say that it was the happiest day of his life. However, it was also the worst day of his life because Barry Allen found out what monster Eobard Thawne actually was, so he ended up stopping him. And after Barry Allen stopped Eobard vowed to Barry that he would correct himself and he would go on an innocent course. And that's what he did. He served his entire prison sentence and he became a world-renowned scientist. But Eobard wanted more, so he started stealing historical
What's
files
on
to
your
study
mind?
the Speed Force and to
Hi?
actually capture it. But one of the people that meddled with his affairs was actually his brother. And by this point, Eobard was already too far gone to the point where he would literally go back in time and erase his brother from ever existing. And realizing that he could just wipe people from existence simply by time traveling, he started wiping away people from reality that stood in his way. He would even do this to his parents when they tried kicking him out. He would time travel back in time and get them into a fatal accident and kill the both of them. Like, get a grip, dude. On top of this, we also find out that Eobard Thawne has like a nice guy persona where he would do all these nice things for this girl that he liked a lot, but when she didn't reciprocate, he got really mad. So mad that he would use his super speed to shake her head so many times that she would suffer so much brain trauma that she could never do anything ever again. And once the dude became completely clouded by his ego, he thought it would be a good idea to travel to the 21st century and meet Barry Allen again to show him how far he's come.
Off with you!
So he would literally just stalk him for days and watch his every move. But then he watched him share a moment with Wally West and his entire life crushed before him. Because at this moment he realized that he wasn't Barry Allen's #1 partner. It was actually Wally West this entire time. And you'd think he'd know that, being a historian on the Flash and all. And being that he based his entire life on the Flash, he kind of went into a spiral of events that led him into becoming the villain that we all know today, the Reverse Flash. So he would end up time traveling to different points in Barry Allen's life to try and kill him or stop him or meddle with his affairs, but he would always come up short. So he thought to himself, if I know Barry Allen's identity, I can go back to the very moment he became the Flash and erase that moment from ever happening. So he would try to meddle with different chemicals in the lab. But in an effort to erase the Flash, he would also be erased as well, so he couldn't really change this moment. It had to happen. So this was another loss on Eobard's belt. And I know I said at the beginning of this video that this was going to be about everything that he did to Barry Allen, but I just thought it would make sense if I told you his story first before getting into that. But anyways, seeing that he couldn't stop Barry Allen from becoming the Flash, he thought that he could torment Barry Allen for the rest of his life, and he started by kidnapping his girlfriend Iris West. He would end up trying to kill Iris West, and Barry Allen would retaliate by killing the Reverse Flash, and Eobard would watch on the sidelines because he made a duplicate of himself. And the thing that I find funny is that he can't win no matter how many times he fights the Flash, so he decides to go back to when Barry Allen was just a kid and just straight up bullies him. He pushes him down a flight of stairs, he makes him suck at basketball, he rips up his books for school, and he just makes him an outcast. But despite all of this torment that he would do to Barry, Barry would still shine through and find friends like Doug, and they would read comic books together. However, this friendship would quickly come to an end because Eobard Thawne would quickly find out about it and actually kill Doug, leaving Barry Allen alone as a kid. It's really fucking sad. And if it wasn't enough, a day where Barry Allen decided to go to school, Eobard just showed up to his mother's doorstep and told her that it was her time to die, even framing Barry's dad into making everyone think that he killed his mother. You also kind of start to notice that Eobard Thawne gets
It's too
crazier
far
and
away.
crazier, and he starts to just make things happen that wouldn't normally happen, like causing Barry Allen's dad to kill a police officer in prison and make it look like he was trying to escape, adding on to his sentence. And even after Barry Allen would return from the dead after the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, when everyone thought he died, Eobard Thawne would end up returning and further tormenting Barry by telling him that he did everything that ever went wrong in Barry Allen's life, even telling him that he could have been raised with a mother and father, but this never happened because of him. And this is kind of where the phrase, "it was me, Barry," originates from. It's such a fucking funny meme. On top of this, he would also orchestrate events to create a second Reverse Flash, Professor Zoom, aka Hunter Zolomon. He would make Professor Zoom by actually manipulating events
closer.
and giving a clown a gun to actually shoot Hunter Zolomon and cripple him, giving him the motivation to hate the Flash for not saving him. And in turn, this Reverse Flash would torment Wally West's life. It's just haunting. This panel alone of Hunter Zolomon telling Wally West that he could have had 2 kids is just like, what the fuck, man? My working theory is that they just have some deep-seated anger issues that they just take out on the Flash because he's an easy target. But time and time again, where you see Barry Allen or Wally West evolve, these 2 characters just kind of stay the same. They never really evolve. They never grow. They never just forgive. And with it, it affects everyone else in Barry's life in turn, like Iris West and Wallace West, where he almost died facing the Reverse Flash. Or even going into the future and manipulating Barry Allen's kids into hating their father. It's just like, dude, get a hobby or, like, say you're sorry. This all ends up coming to a head where Barry Allen just decides that he needs to change how he views Eobard Thawne. He just has to. It's the only way that they can both grow. And change, because sometimes things just gotta get shaken up. Gosh. And that's exactly what Barry Allen does to Eobard Thawne. He does the unexpected, and it throws Eobard Thawne off. Because Eobard Thawne just wants Barry to hate him because any attention is better than no attention at all. So when Barry Allen decides to take this step first and forgive Eobard Thawne, Eobard is completely left dumbfounded because he literally can't imagine the idea that Barry would ever forgive him. And when Barry takes the first step and decides that we need to break the cycle in order to move on, and my hatred for you has made you stuck in the past, he doesn't know what to do, because Eobard Thawne is so used to a life of hating the Flash that he can't comprehend a life where he can't even do it, and now he's been given that. And by the way, Barry is such a cool fucking hero because even in his own words, he says, "I'm giving you what you took from me, peace." And now that Barry Allen is his lightning rod of the Speed Force, Eobard starts to fade away from existence because he's no longer a paradox. He can actually be altered in the timeline now. And not even 2 pages later, we see that Eobard Thawne is now the curator of the Flash Museum in the 25th century, and it's pretty wholesome. Running tour guides, and you can see that Eobard Thawne has changed, and he's not that same murderous psychopath he was before. And while Eobard is conducting the tour guide, some of the kids look at the Reverse Flash exhibit and ask questions about him, and Eobard Thawne doesn't remember being the Reverse Flash at all. He just knows that it was a very significant role in Barry Allen's life. Eobard even tells the kids that it's hard to imagine a person living a life full of such hate for the Flash family. It's just not a way to live. If only he knew. And Eobard Thawne isn't the only one that gets a happy ending after this. Barry Allen does too. However, it's cut short because the Justice League ends up calling him, but Barry Allen wants to get a bite to eat before he gets out. But while Barry is trying to make himself a sandwich and go out as the Flash, somebody asks him a question. Why do you do what you do? How do you do it? Is it because of your past? And Barry Allen says no. It's never for my tragedy. It's simple. I'm the Flash because of what you taught me. Because it's the right thing to do. God, this makes me want to cry. And that's the end of Eobard Thawne's story. It all kind of comes full circle. It starts out on a revenge path, and it ends with forgiveness. Now to end the video, I'll let Barry Allen take it from here. Living up to a legend can feel impossible some days. But because of my friends and family, I want to be the hero everyone hopes for. I'll make mistakes along the way, I'll trip and fall sometimes in this great race of life, but I know that I will never stop getting up and trying to be better and moving forward. I'll never stop trying to be the Flash.
I can't cast that yet.
As someone who's been a big fan of Joker for the past maybe 20 years of my life, I have to say that this story, where Joker rips off his face, is probably the scariest version of the Joker
It's
that
too
I've
far
ever
away.
read in years. Now, there's plenty of other Joker stories that I have read over the years that have, I want to say, elevate the character, and I'll point them up on screen here. But I don't think any have come as close as this one, and there's a big reason to this. Now, for a couple of reasons, it's due to the imagery of this version of the Joker. Not only that, just the amount of levels that this character goes through to basically mess with Batman is just on a whole nother paradigm of insanity. But this version of the Joker, I have to say without a doubt, is completely different, and it's such a fresh take for this butterfly. But I never actually read any of the comic books following him cutting off his face, so I never quite got why he did it. But reading them is a whole bigger dive. And the imagery alone of the Joker in shadows with his cut off face, and you can't see his eyeballs or anything, but you can see his decaying face, it is fucking mortifying. I swear to you, last night when I was compiling all of the... That just ruined the immersion of the video. When I was compiling all of the images for this video, I was actually kind of scared to leave my room with the lights off. Certain images are so fucking frightening that they actually, like, kind of resemble reality. Like, this is what the Joker would be like in real life. He'd be a guy that wears a janitor outfit, carries a fucking hammer, with a decaying, rotting face on his head. But anyways, I basically wanted to cover this entire storyline because it's such an interesting one and it's incredibly captivating. I hope you all enjoy. Enjoy the video. Now, back in 2011, DC Comics issued a new line of comics called New 52, which was meant to be a soft reboot of the comic book franchise. Within this new reboot, everything that ever happened in Batman's career happened within the span of 5 years. This also meant that not only Batman was changed, probably each and every one of the characters in his life was completely altered. And one of the most notable characters, and the reason why I'm making this video, is the Joker. See, after DC Comics completely rebooted the timeline for the New 52, Joker's character was given a refresh. Where in the older timeline, Joker would love toying with Batman, in this new timeline, he was getting a little tired of it. It was growing stale for him. He felt that a lot of the new Bat family members that were getting in the way of his plans were ruining his playtime with Batman, so he figured he would make a plan to kill all of them just to make it the two of them again. I should also mention that this was also so well received that the show Gotham even attempted to do the storyline. Now, the story initially picks up with the Joker being sent to Arkham Asylum by Batman after doing one of his old escapades, and in the process he sets up a meetup with Dollmaker. This meetup is set up with the Dollmaker so that he can actually remove the Joker's face and he can actually escape from Arkham Asylum, but not only to escape, but to also send a message to Batman that his old ways are over now and he's changed. And God does he prove this, because not even 15 issues later he makes his reappearance, and it's probably the scariest one yet. Because while Commissioner Gordon is just talking to his fellow officers, he looks down in the distance of the hallway and he sees a shadow looming over a mysterious figure, and this is the Joker. And in Gordon's words, he literally says, "No, not you." Right as the lights go off in the GCPD, because Joker just used an EMP to reclaim his old face. Also, I might add, while he's in the darkness, he starts to taunt Gordon. Using psychological warfare, he starts to taunt Gordon, saying that he's been living under his bed for a few days now, that he's been meticulously moving things around the house to play with Gordon's mind. And with every slight creak or giggle, you can slowly start to see Gordon just losing his mind. Right up until the lights come back on and Batman's basically there to give Gordon a sense of ease, but then they find out that Joker's old face is gone. Batman, knowing that the Joker is running rampant in Gotham City, he tries everything he can to get to the Joker as fast as possible, and he ends up following a set of clues that lead him to Ace Chemicals, to where he ends up finding Harley Quinn dressed up as Red Hood, basically taunting Batman for his biggest mistake and to be a distraction for Batman. Because while Batman's at Ace Chemicals, the Joker is actually at Wayne Manor, and Alfred is left completely completely exposed, leading Joker to basically kidnap Alfred. When Batman gets back to Wayne Manor, he realizes that Alfred has been kidnapped, and he realizes that he also made the biggest mistake of his life. And to add a cherry on top, Joker also left a tape of him torturing Alfred to mess with the Batman. But within that very same tape are a set of clues that actually reenact a few crimes that the Joker committed
That's
a long
still
time ago.
recharging.
And with that, it actually leads Batman straight to the Joker. Once Batman comes face to face with the Joker, he tries to make his move, but the Joker ends up calling him out on every single move that he ever makes. Almost like he's leads Batman straight to the Joker. Once Batman comes face to face with the Joker, he tries to make his move, but the Joker ends up calling him out on every single move that he ever makes, almost like he's been analyzing him for weeks. And Joker ends up systematically using each and every one of his tactics against him, trapping the Batman. He also says to Batman that since his plan was going to affect a number of lives and end up killing them, he just decided to kill them anyway before the Batman even got there. Batman, within the Joker's grasp, demands to know why the Joker is doing any of this, and the Joker tells him that he knows who he is. He knows who they all are, right down to what kind of soap they use in the shower. He's been studying them for months, telling the Bat family each individually that he's coming for them, that they're imposters and it's time that they face their fate. That it won't be the Joker that ends up killing them, but it will be Batman. Because somewhere, somehow, Joker found a little black book that Bruce Wayne made, involving all of the different secrets that each of the Bat family members hold, basically creating a lie to drive a wedge between Bruce and the Bat family. However, Bruce eventually gets out of his bindings and he tries to get to the Joker before he can get away. He ends up grabbing him by the neck, demanding to know where Alfred is, but instead what ends up happening is the Joker's toxin actually touches Bruce's skin and it stops him in his tracks completely. Joker then tells him that Alfred is planning a family dinner for the both of them and that he can't wait for Batman to see it, right before kicking him off into the river below, knocking him out. Immediately after this, Bruce Wayne comes to in the Batcave, where the Bat family basically makes sure that he's alright and then tells him that they all need to talk. Each of the Bat family members demand to know how the Joker even remotely knows all of their identities and why Bruce didn't tell them about Alfred. Bruce then tells them that he doesn't even think that the Joker knows their identities, he's just using it as a bluff to drive a wedge between the family, and it's working. But that there still could be a slight possibility that he does know. So the Bat family ends up asking what this possibility could be, and Bruce begins to tell a story about the Joker. A long time ago in Batman's early career, Joker was trying to run amok in Gotham by using a blimp full of Joker gas to infect the entire city of Gotham. He ended up stopping his plans and knocking him into Gotham Bay. Batman would then end up using the Batboat to try and drag the blimp out of Gotham's path, and then he would search endlessly for the Joker's body for hours, but he never ended up finding the Joker. He would then end up giving up his search and returning back to the Batcave, where he would park his Batboat and go upstairs to try and sleep. And upon waking up the next day going back down to the Batcave, he ended up finding a mysterious Joker card laying beside the Batboat. After telling the members of the Bat family, they all become extremely angry that Bruce even hid this from them. But Bruce tries to defend himself by saying that even if he tried to swim into the Batcave, it would be nearly impossible. However, it's not enough for the Bat family to even forgive him for keeping this a secret for so long. Just knowing the slight possibility that the Joker knew who they all were all along and could have struck at any moment is just too much for them to take. But with that, Batman ends up leaving the Bat family with that information and tries to go to Arkham Asylum to see if he can find any more clues about the Joker. But when he gets there, he finds all of the workers at Arkham Asylum dancing endlessly. The Joker had returned to Arkham Asylum and held captive all of these workers and told them that if they ever stopped dancing, he would kill them and their families. To add to this, while Bruce Wayne is walking through the entire asylum, he has to go through challenge after challenge to find the Joker. And while doing so, Batman can't even believe that the Joker was able to do this under his nose for so long. The Joker would even go so far as to replicate certain events in their history as a certain tour in the asylum for the Batman to see, until it ultimately led to the grand finale of all of his villains waiting for him to sit on his throne, along with a few hostages to use against the Batman. However, this wouldn't be the end of the ride, as Joker would actually goat some hostages into trying to pull a chainsaw out of a stone and end up shocking them, just further torturing Batman. Batman would eventually break into the room to try and save some of the hostages from the villains, but Joker would end up dropping a huge cage on top of Batman, stopping him in his tracks completely, where he would then tell him to look to his left, where he would see TV screens of all of his family members basically getting taken down by the Joker. He then tells Batman to sit on his throne throne, or else he'll never see a single one of his family members ever again. That if he doesn't, he'll never know where they ever went or what the Joker ever did to them. So he tells him to sit on his fucking throne. And that's what Batman would do. He would slowly walk up to the electric chair and sit while the Joker would shock him to near death. He would later come to in a dark cave looking at a dinner table with all of the Bat family members with bags over their heads, with the Joker seemingly being the host of their horrifyingly festive dinner. Batman would then tell the Joker that he was going to break every single bone in the Joker's body, but the Joker would then tell Batman that he's booby-trapped the entire dinner table, and that if he even gets up, the entire place will go up in flames. And while he's prepping the dinner table, he says that he needs some help, so he calls out to Alfred. And out of a small, dark corner of the cave comes out a horrifyingly Jokerized Alfred, helping the Joker with his festivities. On top of this, Alfred also removes all the bags from the Bat family members' heads to reveal bloody bandages over all of their faces. And Joker would basically describe to Batman what it was like cutting off all of their faces. It was smooth, clean, and precise, unveiling all of the dinner plates to be their freshly cut faces, while telling them all in the room that he made it with love. The Joker then begins to say to Batman that he could have stopped him a long time ago. He could have stopped all of this misery if he just broke his one rule, and that the Joker knows that he could just kill him and then never kill again. But he doesn't know why he doesn't do it. He's proved time and time again that he's irredeemable to the Batman by capturing each and every one of his Bat family members. He just doesn't know why he won't kill him. But while Joker is talking and talking and talking to the Batman, Batman is planning his next move. See, Batman actually figured out what cave system they were under because he had worked on it a long time ago. So with Bruce bursting out of the dinner table seat, activating the traps, and setting a blaze to the room, Bruce would quickly grab a
I
water
can't
spring
loot
from
that.
the top of them, dousing the flames, saving the Bat family completely, and Joker would just say to himself, this is not funny. The Joker would end up running away in fear into the caves, and Batman would check to see if his family was okay, and on doing the bandages, he would find out that the Joker never actually cut off their faces. So with that, Nightwing would basically tell Batman to go catch that son of a bitch, and Batman would run off. But right as he did, the cat the Joker was carrying would set off a bomb, and each and every individual Bat family member would become Jokerized, and immediately start to attack one another while laughing endlessly. Batman would then immediately catch up to the Joker and tell him no more. The Joker would try to taunt him for saying this, but Batman would say no more of any of this, with Batman seemingly ready to kill the Joker. He holds him on top of a huge ravine and he tells him that this all ends tonight, that maybe he finally will go a step farther, and that on top of this he's finally broken the spell, that Batman finally deduced who the Joker was before he ever became the Joker, and he's willing to tell him now. And while Batman is telling this to Joker, Joker is in complete denial and he tries to shake and punch out of his grasp, but he can't, because down below is a huge drop that would kill any man. And while this is all happening between Batman and Joker, the Bat family is somewhat going back to normal. And back to Joker and Batman, Joker is trying to tell Batman that he's the only real family that he'll ever have. But Batman tells him that he's wrong, that the Bat family will always be his family, and he chooses that every time.
I need to get
before telling
closer.
him to come a little closer so he can tell him who he knows he is. However, before Bruce can even utter anything, Joker tells him to shut up right before smacking him and jumping into the river below. And that to Batman would seemingly be the end of the Joker, finally. And with that, the Joker would be stopped and the Bat family would be somewhat saved. The next day, Alfred would wake up somewhat feeling like hell, but glad to be alive, and Bruce would tell him that along with him, each and every one of the Bat family members is okay now, and he would tell him just to rest. However, before Bruce leaves the room, Alfred asks if Bruce is alright, but Bruce ends up telling Alfred that he once visited the Joker as Bruce Wayne. That a long time ago he went to Arkham Asylum under the guise of Bruce Wayne, investing into a new ward for Arkham Asylum. And while there, he ended up distracting some of the workers at Arkham Asylum long enough to find the Joker's cell, where he would end up visiting him. Bruce would then end up showing Joker the very same card that he left for Batman long ago. However, when Joker looked back at Bruce Wayne, Joker didn't even react. He didn't move a single muscle or say a single thing. And it was almost as if even if he knew Bruce Wayne was Batman, it would ruin the entire act for him. And it was then that Bruce knew that Joker would never care who it was underneath the mask of Batman. After this, Bruce would try to get in touch with each and every one of the Bat family members, but they would all kind of decline due to Bruce keeping too many secrets and not being too trustworthy anymore. And Joker would end up succeeding in driving a wedge between each and every one of them. And after spending a long time in the Batcave running an analysis on Joker's new toxin, the Batcave computer would analyze the new isotope as hanium. element symbol would turn up. Ha. Ending with the Joker getting the last laugh after all. And with that, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.
At this point, folks, there's no doubt that Wade W. Wilson is one of the most capable killers the Marvel Universe has ever seen. In fairness, being nearly immortal does give one a leg up on the competition, but that shouldn't take away from Deadpool's impressive hit list over the years. His martial prowess was famously put to the ultimate test during 2012's Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, in which Wade's unorthodox methods and creative problem-solving made him a terror to behold when his latent murderous inclinations were fully unleashed. But it turns out, once just wasn't enough for everyone's favorite masochistic mercenary. Like the old saying goes, if at first you succeed, the second time should be easy. So without further ado, let's discover if the Merc with a Mouth has lost a step since the last time he painted the town red. Number 1. Out of the frying pan. Our tale of woe and worry opens in the famous French Quarter of New Orleans, where a certain talented thief lies dead and gone, his gaping jaws stuffed with cheap playing cards. As Gambit's dead body soaks in blood and alcohol, a local detective walks past the caution tape into the blood-spattered bar. He was affiliated with the Thieves Guild, right? The cop asks. Could they be responsible? His partner responds skeptically. It's worth looking into, but I don't think so. This is different. Believe me, I would know. Whoever did this enjoyed the hell out of it. The murky, messy murder scene sharply cuts to an all-out superhero brawl between a group of vengeful X-Men blasting through the scientifically enhanced forces of MODOK. Wade! Yells team leader Rogue from the midst of the chaos. MODOK has the intel we need. Take him down. Whatever you say, my rootin' cowgirl queen, DP returns as he leaps for the mechanically maligned head of AIM. But as Deadpool begins to descend on MODOK, the evil genius calls out, "Worm, we had an understanding, your master and I." Then, a pause, before MODOK turns to Wade and recites a befuddling passage. Tirelessly I pondered what daydreams a carcinogenic piranha might revere. Hearing this, Deadpool's eyes lose focus. His arms drape at his sides, unable to lift his twin pistols. Immediately, DP's mutant teammates notice something's amiss. Something's not right with Deadpool, Quicksilver calls out to the team. More than usual, I mean. Bishop too recognizes these signs as he yells out, "He's been entranced!" "Yes, entranced," MODOK wheezes through a grin, "and you don't know the half of it. You came here to learn who was killing your friends and allies. Shall I tell you?" But just as MODOK appears on the brink of revealing an evil plot, Deadpool whistles flirtatiously as he hefts a bazooka over his shoulder. Yoo-hoo! Oh, MODOK! Haven't you heard? Loose lips sink ship for the awakened DP launches a missile directly into the villain's oversized forehead. But as his rocket kills AIM's head honcho, Wade begins to feel strange. Suddenly, the world around him begins to brighten and morph. Deadpool seems to barely register his new surroundings, but as AIM's head scientist falls, he unleashes his genetically modified anti-uncanny Avengers. Deadpool quickly gets to work slicing and dicing these familiar-looking foes apart, until the last one standing, Brainwave Ninja, steps back in horror from the fight. Deadpool, why did you... She manages before the world snaps back to focus, and Wade's teammates lie slaughtered at his feet. "Because you're the bad guys," he says solemnly, as Synapse slowly begins to realize the horror of her situation. "Deadpool," she cries out, "how could you... It's been you all along, you've been killing us off." But it's over, Synapse decides, a steely edge creeping into her voice, failing to hide the waver of fear in her words. "I'm shutting you down."
It's too far away.
Deadpool sighs. "Yeah, that's a good idea, Brainwave Ninja. You do that." DP says despondently, "Please." But moments later, a gargled scream rings out from the base and echoes into the night as Deadpool finishes his horrific job. The next morning, a supergroup consisting of Jessica Jones, Kate Bishop, The Punisher, Misty Knight, Cable, and Moon Knight inspects the grisly scene of the slaughter with carefully honed eyes. "Ladies and gentlemen," Moon Knight announces morbidly, "we have one nasty serial killer on our hands. The Punisher weighs in next, and it looks like we all fit the profile for his victims. I find it hard to muster up the interest in Avengers rosters now that I'm not a member, Moon Knight continues. But this group, Deadpool was on the roster, yes? Cable answers without hesitation. He runs with them, but we didn't find his body among the carnage. He's not here. But the Fist of Khonshu soon unearths a familiar bloody insignia sprawled across the floor in the shadows. He was. Back at Deadpool's dilapidated hideout, the regenerating degenerate still seems unable to perceive the reality of his situation. His inner world still consists of heroic missions, brave quests, and flashy bright colors that flood his perception with blinding distraction. As Deadpool sees himself discussing classified secrets with Nick Fury, he really sits hunched over a phone line listening to that eerie phrase on repeat. Tirelessly I pondered what daydreams a carcinogenic piranha might revere. Next, Wade travels to the Aegean Sea, where a hardy phalanx of mythical heroes arrives at the behest of Hercules, who is wary. Have a care, my friends, Herc warns his companions. I do not like this. Nor do I, Thor replies. The prayers of mortals alone did not beckon to us. Gods prayed here as well. Gods praying for help. What could frighten the divine in such a way? Valkyrie asks, more confused than scared at this point. Until a gleeful, familiar voice chimed up from across the field. Hey, you deific sad sacks! Stop being so glum, and try seeing things from my point of view. Deadpool's Grecian pool party was in full swing, complete with volleyball courts, a hot tub, and beautiful scenic views. A volleyball flew by Wade's head as he greeted Hercules and his troop. But even as the pleasantries played out around the godly heroes, they could tell something was amiss. There's something familiar about this, Hercules ponders as he peruses the party. Oh no, I know where we are. We must go at once. Loki, transport us away from this place before... But even as Herc gives the order to retreat, DP pops up with the runaway volleyball and holds it up in triumph. As reality sets back in, we see the god staring up at Deadpool, from whose hand dangles the snake-haired skull of Medusa. As Wade holds the ancient artifact aloft, Hercules screams to his friends, "All of you, avert your eyes, don't..." But the damage has already been done. The divine protectors of Earth feel their bodies cool, then stiffen, then lock, as their joints harden and are turned to stone, never again to feel the warmth of the Aegean sun on their skin. "All right, dirtbag, on the floor!" roars Frank Castle as his foot explodes through the door to Wade's rundown apartment. But DP is nowhere to be found. The place is clear, Cable reports to the group. As the heroes dive into the contents of Deadpool's life, they find numerous files with intimate data on many past assassinated heroes. I haven't looked through the rest, Moon Knight says as he considers the files, but I guess we'll find files on Gambit, Rogue, and Quicksilver, among others here as well. These reports include weaknesses, suggested tactics to combat them, to kill them. That settles it, the Punisher rumbles. Deadpool's our guy. We find him and we smoke him. But Jessica Jones still isn't sure this
can't
case is
test
so
that
black
yet.
and white. As she overturns a pizza box, she finds the words "Help me" scrawled out on DP's desk. I'm not sure it's quite so simple, she says. Take a look. I think Deadpool left us another message. As Deadpool continues his raucous rampage and the ragtag group of heroes moves closer and closer to confronting him, another player silently smiles from the shadows, pleased with how well his plan is proceeding. Our initial tests have been successful, the Red Skull reports to his partners in crime. Our operative is creative and efficient, and we have him under our complete control. We should be left with only one question. Who's next? As Dr. Doom, the Abomination, and Magneto all offer suggestions for next targets, Red Skull assuages their excitement. Patience, my friends. Patience. I promise, we're going to get them all. But before we see where Wade's rampage takes him next, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on to never miss an upload, and smash that like button for some plot armor today. And be warned, folks, because there's no turning back now. Number 2, Itsy Bitsy Spiders. Our second issue opens on the house of one Eddie Brock, whose apartment is littered with bullets, blood, and blowhorns. As the detectives investigate Brock's dead body, little do they realize Eddie's murderer has run off with one of the most dangerous artifacts on the planet. For at that moment, across town, Peter Parker swings his way through the streets of New York when Venom drops out of the sky screaming, "We'll kill you, Spider!" But you're not Venom, Peter realizes. You're something new. The alien monstrosity barreled down on Spidey, gurgling, "Don't you run from me!" Deadpool's venomous debut was over before it had even started when he and Spidey careened into a nearby water tower at top speed. As Spidey fell unconscious to the rooftops, Venompool crouched eagerly beside him, their long tongue lapping hungrily at their helpless prey. From Deadpool's warped brainwash perspective, the stomach-churning scene played out as a quaint pie-eating contest. But while Wade dreamed, the regenerating degenerate's venom-bonded body consumed Spider-Man's skull whole. When Venom had eaten their fill, it snarled with delight. At last, it is done! Spider-Man is dead. My hunger sated. With this, the monster retreated from Deadpool's form, awakening DP from his happy-go-lucky daydream. Spidey, we did it! We out-ate the Blob! A stunned, traumatized Merc with a mouth whispered in shock as the Venom symbiote scuttled away from the scene. As the alien goop slithered away, Wade was left with only his thoughts, his gear, and the cannibalized body of an old friend laying out on the rooftop beside him. Next, Deadpool set his sights on Spider-Woman. From Wade's cartoonishly naive subconscious, he was simply helping babysit Jess's newborn. But once again, that sinister subroutine ran in DP's brain, forcing his limbs to slice and dice through any and all targets. As Wade's diseased mind calmly imagined putting the baby down to bed, reality found his body doing fierce combat with one of the city's foremost combatants as Jessica's terrified toddler watched on. Screaming, "How dare you! How dare you attack me here in my home, in front of my child!" Spider-Woman raged at Deadpool as the two clashed in the living room, but once again the regenerating degenerate proved too much for the formidable Spider. DC's twin blades found purchase deep in Jessica's stomach, and as her young child watched, Jess slowly bled to death on the floor of her own home. Again, the heroes following Deadpool's bloody, merciless trail could only hang their heads at the horror awaiting them when they finally discovered Jessica's remains. We need to let each other know if we discover anything, Moon Knight determines as the super team surveys the crime scene. And if my operative discovers anything useful, I'll be certain to let you all know.
I need to get
Operative,
closer.
the Punisher shoots back, never want to miss an important detail. That's right, Moon Knight scowls at him. I have people. Meanwhile, instead of pie-eating contests and babysitting gigs, DP was now a hardened science fiction detective a la Blade Runner, and Spider-Man 2099 would be the next hero to feel his laser pistols burn. One unceremonious shot to the head was all it took for Deadpool to make short work of Miguel O'Hara, with the regenerating degenerate once again mumbling incomprehensibly of strange unseen phantoms and cartoonish illusions as he went about his dirty work. With the future taken care of, Deadpool was nearly late to his next appointment with the one and only Miles Morales. But Jessica Jones and Kate Bishop managed to reach Miles first, wasting no time. I don't know if you've heard or not, but it isn't safe to play lone superhero these days. There's a killer on the loose. I heard, Miles says solemnly. Captain America was advising masked heroes to lie low for a while. Must be bad for him to offer that advice. Seems like the opposite of what we should be doing right now. Admiring his bravery but fearing for his life, Jessica Jones explains. We have reason to believe that anyone wearing a spider emblem might be in danger. Just then, Miles felt the tingling sensation that always accompanied incoming danger. Pumpkin bombs littered the roof. Kate was thrown from the skyscraper immediately, and Jessica leaped into action to save her. But this left Miles all alone with a twisted, warped version of Wade W. Wilson standing aboard a goblin glider, dressed in the tattered remnants of the costumed spider heroes he'd already slain. Peter? Miles barely managed as he tried to stand. Is that you? But as he looked up into the face of the murderer standing before him, no, it's not, is it? Deadpool descended on his glider, facing the young Spider-Man as he drew his blade. You poor travesty. You failed copy. DP monologued as visions of spider clones and monsters danced in his head. The saga of the Spider-Verse clone conspiracy ends here. As Deadpool fought his way through the final monster in his head, his sword cut clean through Miles Morales' neck, leaving nothing but a decapitated final Spider-Man for Jessica and Kate to find when they return to the roof. While Jessica Jones informs the rest of her team that Deadpool's mass murdering spree has someone writing checks behind it, the alliance of villains supporting Wade's frenzied killing spree begin to show signs of strain. It is a mistake, Skull, putting such faith in a lunatic like Deadpool. Dr. Doom warns his co-conspirator in the dark caverns of their evil lair. It is not faith in the man, Herr Doom, the Red Skull calmly responds. It is faith in the plan, in the conditioning Deadpool has undergone. He will not turn against us.
That's still
because
recharging.
he has no idea what he's doing. But even as the two tyrannical autocrats debate the merits of their evil plot, a single silent stowaway listens and watches from the shadows. From atop her perch, hidden away in the cavernous canopy of the castle's interior, the unbelievable Gwenpool watches and waits, relaying every word back to her trusted supervisor, Moon Knight. Number 3 and 4, Into the Fire. Gwenpool, Moon Knight's spy embedded in Red Skull's operation, immediately radios the Fist of Khonshu to alert him to the scale of the problem. At long last, the heroes have some idea of what they're truly facing underneath the surface of Wade's rampage. But even armed with Gwenpool's hard-won intel, do the band of brave do-gooders stand any chance against the whirling, carnivorous tornado of death that is Deadpool? Unfortunately, Gwenpool's heroic tip-off came at a heavy price, as moments after she was able to message Moon Knight, her radio fell silent. Until we hear from her again, we should assume Gwenpool's dead, Moon Knight admits as the connection goes cold. On their way to the head of the snake, unlikely teammates Moon Knight and Punisher find a spit-roasted raccoon carcass alongside the other murdered corpses of the Guardians of the Galaxy. One trip to Earth too many, I suppose, Spectre callously jokes as Castle lifts a discarded laser gun from the scene of the massacre. Looks like Deadpool left the murder weapon behind. The
That spell isn't ready yet.
Punisher says as he stows the weapon in his jacket. Reinvigorated by witnessing yet another monstrous murder, Castle and Spectre journey onward, hoping to topple the conspiracy from the top down. Meanwhile, however, Deadpool remains trapped in his own personal hell, the cartoonish illusion that masks his true actions from his own fractured psyche. At this point in our story, it's safe to say DP has hit his stride. With little to no difficulty, Wade fries the entire X-Men team by sabotaging the extremely dangerous technology hidden on school grounds. Soon after, Cable and Misty Knight discover a basement full of Deadpool's old associates and teammates, all tortured and strung up, kept alive for perhaps days before finally being allowed to expire. As the death toll rose exponentially, the Punisher and Moon Knight's Hail Mary mission to take down the source of the Scourge was more important than ever. But when the two arrived at the Red Skull's island hideout, they found only abandoned hallways and empty offices. As the two vigilantes began digging through Red Skull's old files, a figure appeared behind them, clad in the black and red costume that had become a harbinger of nothing but death. Deadpool would only witness himself showing off in a friendly game of hoops as he battled fiercely against Moon Knight and the Punisher. "Get out of the way, Moon Knight," Castle warned. "I can tell what you're doing. You're trying to subdue him, trying to spoil my shots. That's not how this is gonna work." A cold, heartless voice escaped the usually jovial lips of the merc with a mouth. He's right. Either you're not walking out of here, or I'm not. This admission got Moon Knight's attention, and he stepped aside to let the Punisher take his killing shot. "Game's over, Wade," Frank Castle said as he squeezed the trigger. But as soon as his newfound gun went off, the Punisher was ripped to shreds by some sort of concentrated black hole that opened up inside the weapon. "You sabotaged the gun," Moon Knight said in shock. "You left it for us, knowing the Punisher would use it." Moon Knight knew that his chances of survival had just been significantly lowered. But one walloping kick to the chin actually managed to give the Fist of Khonshu the upper hand. "What did they do to you?" Moon Knight roared as he struck DP mercilessly. Again," Wade whispered. "Hit me again. The pain. At least, I'm here for the pain." Moon Knight followed up with a decisive left cross, sending Deadpool to the floor. "They're making a play," Wade managed in a moment of clarity. "Finally got organized. Going to get rid of all the heroes once and for all." "Who?" Moon Knight asked coldly. "All of them." But in the instant of Deadpool's lucidity, his muscle memory kicked in. The black and red blur whipped around and stabbed Spectre directly through the stomach. As he left, Deadpool used his final moments of coherence to murmur something in the Knight's ear. Something that sent
I
the
can't
dying
pass
man
that
straight
yet.
for his communicator. Jessica," the Knight barely managed to say. "I know where he's going next. He warned me. Whatever you do, don't go alone. Take heavy hitters with..." And with that, Mark Spector was no more. When Jessica Jones arrived at the villain's hideout, she was accompanied by the entire Avengers roster, complete with the Scarlet Witch, Shang-Chi, Iron Man, and the Hulk, just to name a few. When this super squadron tore down the front doors of the castle, though, they were surprised to meet only one foe standing before them. The limping, blood-soaked shell of Ultron stood tall, with with a traumatized, mind-controlled psychopath shuttered inside the impenetrable case. The horrific cyborg spoke not with its usual programmed voice, but with the tortured voice of one Wade Wilson, watching helplessly as the rest of his friends prepared to die. "You can't," Deadpool's words managed to eke out through the vibranium armor grafted to his very skin and bone. "You can't stop me. I want you to, but you can't. All you can do is just run. But I know you won't. So you're gonna die." The intense battle between the Avengers and Ultron Pool, however glorious it may have looked in Wade's mind, was a short-lived spectacle of slaughter. The gathered group of heavy hitters simply didn't stand a chance against the vibranium-encased merc with a mouth. Deadpool had every weapon at Ultron's disposal, not to mention hand-to-hand skills that had so far bested every combatant in the universe. Ultron Pool ripped Iron Man in half, phased the Vision into the Hulk's chest cavity, and even unceremoniously snapped Jessica Jones's neck in front of the rest of the Avengers. When his victims finally all lay dead at his feet, Deadpool suddenly had another moment of clarity as he began to remove his metallic outer layer. "Can't breathe in this thing. Gotta..." As he lifted the helmet, Deadpool ripped off the very scalp that had been surgically grafted to Ultron's armor. Look at what I've done." The regenerating degenerate wallowed at the side of his triumph. "Who was gonna stop me now?" But his prayers would not be answered, for Wade's rampage was far from over. One hide-and-seek game with the champions later, and DP had successfully murdered the world's most powerful teenage super team. Even this wasn't far enough for Deadpool's dastardly handlers, as next he was sent after lone wolves such as Daredevil, Ant-Man, and Ghost Rider. But it was after his brutal killing of Nova that a familiar pink and white merc's knee connected solidly with Deadpool's chin, in an ambush that sent the mass murderer
Inventory
reeling.
is full.
"Sorry about this, Mr. Poole,"
I can't
Gwenpool
carry
said,
anymore.
"but I need you to calm down and fast. A quick stab to the heart should do the..." But Gwen was too slow. Deadpool returned with a lightning-fast kick of his own, and quickly the two pools were locked in combat. Swords clashed and sparked together as Gwen and Wade battled it out, but in the end it wasn't enough. DP stabbed Gwen cleanly through the stomach, and as the young woman slowly dropped to her knees, she whispered something in her fellow merc's ear. Something that would change everything. "It's not you. You killed us all. But it wasn't you," she managed. And then, tirelessly, I pondered what daydreams a carcinogenic piranha might revere. The villains. Don't let them get away with it. Suddenly, a sober posture returned to Wade's form, along with a burning hatred in his eyes. "All right then," Wade said to himself. "Bring on the bad guys." Number 5, Revenge of the Pissed. Wade wastes no time in starting his second act, and his blood-soaked hands quickly unleashed a torrent of righteous death onto the world, the likes of which had never been seen before. "Remain calm, ladies and gentlemen," the Red Skull radioed out to his compatriots in the midst of Deadpool's
Inventory
reversal.
is full.
"It is true our agent Deadpool has turned against us. He has broken the shackles of our mental manipulation. But we have our very best agents working on the problem as we speak. It is only a matter of time before he meets someone with a greater killer instinct than his own." Yet kill after kill, Deadpool made his way closer to the top of the villainous ladder. Kingpin lay dead in his office with a katana through his chest. Bullseye felt a bullet penetrate through his skull. And Batroc the Leaper was thrown from a skyscraper and turned to jelly on impact with the street. Eventually, after slaying Zemo, the Absorbing Man, and the Green Goblin with little difficulty whatsoever, Wade found himself face to face with one of the leaders of the operation, Magneto. As Deadpool raised his sword to remove the Master of Magnetism's head from his shoulders, the mutant leader spoke calmly to his assailant. "The Skull has offered sanctuary to those who serve him loyally. You'll find him. You'll find all of them here," Magneto said as he tossed the coordinates to a surprised DP. "I gotta know, Mags. Why'd you do it?" Magneto sighed. "I thought that by striking a bargain with these villains, I would be able to
I
better
can't
protect
carry
mutant
anymore.
kind. I never anticipated that it would go so far.
Inventory
In
is
the end,
full.
Wade let Magneto live. Not out of mercy, but with the knowledge that Eric was just as tortured by Deadpool's killings as he was himself. And we both deserve to live with that, DP said as he left the mutant tyrant unscathed and continued on to his real targets. Finally, Deadpool had reached the throne room of the man who had put his hellish killing spree into motion. The man who had forced his hand to slay all of his closest friends and allies. The man who took his mind from him. The Red Skull. Flanked by both Taskmaster and Crossbones as bodyguards, the head of Hydra still felt confident in his safety. For now. Once Wade arrived, the Skull quickly realized how dire his situation truly was. Not only did Taskmaster almost instantly bail, saying that he didn't agree with the way Deadpool was mentally tortured, but Crossbones proved laughably ineffectual against the whirling red and black visage of death that Deadpool had become. While Red Skull snapped the neck of the betrayer Taskmaster, Deadpool quickly and elegantly put a knife through the back. Skull snapped against the whirling red and black visage of tortured. But Taskmaster almost instantly realized how dire his situation truly was. Not only did Taskmaster almost instantly bail, saying that he didn't agree with the way Deadpool was mentally tortured, but Crossbones proved laughably ineffectual against the whirling red and black visage of death that Deadpool had become. While Red Skull snapped the neck of the betrayer Taskmaster, Deadpool quickly and elegantly put a knife through the back of Crossbones' neck, ending the fight before it had even begun. Then, there were two. Deadpool and the Red Skull. "You're next, Goth Hitler!" Wade screamed as he leapt at his tormentor. "Do you
can't
really think you
carry
could shrug off
anymore."
my programming so easily?" The Skull laughed, toying with Deadpool's still fragile grip on reality. "Your every adventure, your every victory, the world you
Inventory
know,
is
is all
full.
designed by me. The only thing that is real is the chaos and death you have." But in that moment, as the Skull momentarily turned his back on the monster he'd unleashed, the sharpened edge of a shield slit through Skull's tendons and bone, removing his blood-colored skull from his body. "Chaos and death," Wade said matter-of-factly as his blow ended the Skull's life. "I'll take it." But even as his body relaxes from the adrenaline of revenge, Deadpool's broken mind still perceives the Red Skull's words from the decapitated head on the ground. "The age of heroes is over," it screams. "There is no redemption for what you've done. You cannot set things right. You cannot even be sure you have succeeded in killing me." Deadpool takes a deep breath before replying, "Maybe not, but I'm not finished. Good thing there's no heroes left," Wade says, dry sarcasm returning to his voice as he leaves his mask behind. "Because what I'll be doing, it ain't hero business." Thanks so much for watching. Let us know what you thought of Wade's most recent homicidal rampage in the comments. I've been Jack Stansbury, and from all of us here at Plot Armor Comics, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Welcome to the Full Story series. You see, here at Comic Story, and we create smaller audio dramas of your favorite comic books, lores from video games, and recaps of the movies. And we did a storyline of Daniel Way's Deadpool. Now, this is a storyline in which Deadpool wanted to die, but he couldn't quite find a way to do it, so he went through the entire Marvel Universe fighting against some of your favorite individuals and basically trying to find a way to die. Overall, this video is about 3 hours long, and it contains videos that we put out over the course of 6 months. So I hope you guys really enjoy this one. Either way, this is the beginning of Daniel Way's run all the way to the death of Deadpool, and I say death in air quotes. And if you're wondering where you are, well, this is Comic Storian. We do create audio dramas of your favorite lore from your favorite pop culture icons, and I hope you enjoy the 3-hour giant epic that we have created for you.
Great to meet you.
Off the shores of San Francisco, a pirate ship sails through the waves with everyone's favorite merc with a mouth, Deadpool. But as Deadpool sits on the deck, he takes a knife, stabbing himself in the leg, letting the blood drain into a bucket. He takes that bucket, pouring it into the waters, asking himself,
Safe
is he
travel.
just bored? Does he need a hobby? No, what's really boring is immortality. He jumps off the side of the boat into the shark-infested waters, and he waits. Maybe he does all of this because he wants attention. What if instead of getting paid
How are
in
ya?
cash, he got paid in attention?
I have the
shark
finest
begins to swim
wires
up,
in the
and
land.
Before it can even bite down, Deadpool takes out a gun, firing it. A few moments later, he puts the bullet-riddled shark onto the deck, and he puts his mask back on, and he says, I hope they like sushi. Sitting on the table on the deck is Death. She says that she believes sushi actually means with rice. There's one place that she used to go to in San Francisco called. But Wade stops her, asking, Teikomaki? I used to go there too. Wait, aw crap, you're not real, are you? Death tells him no. not to him. And just like that, she fades away. Deadpool lays down looking at the sun, thinking that maybe he'll just sit here and wait for the sun to cook his flesh into jerky and watch helplessly as the seagulls pick him. But then he hears a voice, and the shark says, wow, that's real original. Seeing as how that was his plan, he should probably go get his own. Deadpool yells that he is totally original! Everything he does is original! And the shark tells him no. What he is alone. All of those friends that he thinks he has, Weasel, Blind Al, What's His Face, the bird. Deadpool says that he completely accepts the fact that he is different from everyone else. And the shark tells him that that is actually the problem. He puts up this front about being different from everyone when in fact he never shows anyone the real him. All of those heroes that he fought with, was it that they didn't accept him or that he didn't accept them? Deadpool says, all right, I'm done. When you're getting a life lesson from a dead fish, it's definitely time to reevaluate things, but where do I start? The shark tells him first he starts by getting on that big boat over there. And Deadpool asks, what big boat? He looks back and he sees a giant cruise ship passing by and he says, oh. A short while later, Deadpool is brought aboard the cruise ship and the medical staff quickly hooks him up to life support. The captain asks how is he doing, and the doctor says surprisingly, normal. His skin is damaged from the sun, but his vitals are better than they should be. The captain then asks, did he have any sort of identification on him? And the doctor tells him no. All he had was this, and they pull out Deadpool's mask. The captain sighs, stating this guy is probably the most wanted and most hated man on the planet. Call the Coast Guard, get this traitorous piece of crap off my boat. A few moments later, Deadpool is thrown off of the boat and back into the water. He swims back up and he looks out asking if San Francisco is over there. If he can fit it anywhere, it's gotta be San Francisco. The next day, Deadpool puts on his rollerblades, his short shorts, and his crop top, setting out for a day on the town. However, it doesn't take long for Deadpool's fantastic day to be ruined by a group of kids making fun of the way that he's dressed. He stops for a moment thinking that he should just kill them. No? Yes? No. He could just break their arms. But as Deadpool starts to skate over to break their arms, he begins to lose his balance. He wobbles over, reaching out his hand, and suddenly he receives a high five. The couple on the moped shout that he is beautiful. Don't let anyone try to convince him otherwise, and the couple rides off. Deadpool asks, I'm beautiful? Yeah, I am beautiful. I should go celebrate this beauty with some alcohol. So he heads to the first bar that he sees, the Fleet Tavern, which happens to be a Navy bar. Everyone inside stares at Deadpool, and Deadpool asks, is it just hot here, or is it me? A few moments later, he's sitting at the bar stating, great, here I am trying to turn over a new leaf, and in the 6 hours that I've been here, I've just created more of a mess. Maybe I should just give up trying to fit in. But then that's when Deadpool hears it, his one chance to fit in. On the TV, the news plays a video from Cyclops stating how they reject Norman Osborn's views on mutants. They've been pushed, prosecuted, persecuted, and punished for who they are. That is why they are building a utopia for mutants on an island off of the coast of San Francisco. Deadpool jumps up from his stool stating, that's it! I'm gonna join the X-Men! The next night at Utopia, Deadpool asks, so, what do you say? And Cyclops tells him no. As a matter of fact, hell no. Later that night, Wolverine says, you know, it's messed up turning Deadpool away like that. Cyclops asks, what do you think I should have done? Let him stay here? And Wolverine tells him, of course not. He's way too volatile to be in a contained environment. But by the same token, isn't he too volatile to not be contained? One of the girls there then asks, what's so bad about that guy anyway? And as Cyclops and Wolverine look at each other, they both look back and say everything. She then says, well, a lot of people could say that about Wolverine, right? Isn't that why we're all here? The next day, Deadpool heads out into the streets to try and figure out what to do next when he runs into a public announcement going on at the courthouse. The man speaking is Ellis Kincaid, a man who's been trying to fight with the courts forever to try and have his daughter returned home from the X-Men. He tells everyone that he's not anti-mutant, but he's pro-parental rights. His daughter is a minor, and she'd been transferred to a school on some sort of military compound. So that is why he's calling on the help of anyone who can hear his words and do anything. Back on Utopia, Cyclops is watching the interview asking, what do we know on this guy? And Prodigy tells him that his name is Ellis Kincaid from Portland, Oregon. He's divorced and was in a kind of a slump a few years ago. But it all changed when he hit the jackpot and all of his assets were bought out by United
That spell
Holdings
isn't
Limited,
ready yet.
a distinct subsidiary of Oscorp. Cyclops says, right, so he's in Norman's pocket. No wonder he's getting national news coverage so easily. But who's his daughter? Just then Mercury comes in shouting, oh my God, this is so embarrassing, just turn it off! Cyclops turns off the news and Mercury says, I am so sorry about this. And Cyclops tells her, no, I should be the one who's sorry. Mercury then stops for a moment and says, oh God, are you gonna make me leave Utopia? And Cyclops says, no, of course not. You can leave if you choose to, but we are not forcing you to stay. We want you to feel safe here. This may look bad for us, but once they speak with Archangel, we'll have our legal team sort this whole thing out. Mercury says thank you, and Prodigy escorts her out, and once she leaves, Cyclops sighs. So about Deadpool. A short while later, Domino asks, "You want me to be his chaperone?" Cyclops tells her that they need someone to keep an eye on Deadpool, and Domino and Deadpool have a history together, with Domino shouting, "Yeah, bad history." Deadpool, who just so happens to be sitting on a roof debating who he's going to shoot because he's bored, looks down the scope with a voice asking him, "Do you see anything you like? Or maybe you're looking for someone." Hey! Domino then stands there staring at Deadpool, who in his own way is completely ignoring her. Domino says, "Look, jerk, I didn't come all this way to be ignored. I came here to offer you a spot on the X-Men." Deadpool spins back with his gun, telling her, "No, you're not. You came here to kill me. That nerd you work for knows that I'm too much of a loose end to leave me hanging. Isn't that right? Now, if you want to live and walk away from this, just back up a few steps." Domino starts to walk backwards, asking, "How is this supposed to?" But before she could finish, she falls through a window, down into a building, into a pool of pancakes. 372,844 pancakes, to be exact. Deadpool jumps down and he asks, "So, still friends?" Domino grabs her gun, telling him, "You sure as hell ain't acting like a friend." And Deadpool then asks, "Act? Me? Never! I keep it real." After helping Domino out, her and Deadpool sit down to eat the pancakes, and Domino asks, "Why not just kill her?" Deadpool tells her, "Well, if Cyclops really wanted to whack me, he would have sent a backup crew the minute you went down. So, down to business. I will join the X-Men on one condition. That is that I wear my very own X-Men suit with my name on the back." After putting on his suit, Deadpool asks, "So what now? Does Cyclops want to see my moves?" And Domino says, yeah, maybe." While they talk, Deadpool notices the TV is on and a few new pieces on Ellis Kincaid are up. And he asks, "Who's that guy anyway?" Domino says that's Ellis. And Cyclops is already dealing with him. It's just a legal thing. It'll blow over in a few weeks. Deadpool says, "Oh, it's gonna blow over sooner than that. I'm totally gonna waste that guy. And by waste, I mean assassinate. Problem solved." But a short while later, Deadpool heads down to the news station where Ellis is speaking out. Cyclops, who is watching the televised interview, hears a voice shouting, "This is what happens when you mess with my peoples." Cyclops says, "Oh no." And Deadpool steps into the camera asking, "Is this thing on? Hey Cyclops, all your warriors are gonna be over in a minute, buddy." Deadpool then begins to shoot out the cameras, but before the feed can cut, there's one man watching and smiling, and that man is Norman Osborn. Deadpool points his gun at Ellis, and he asks, "Do you want it from the back?" But before he can pull the trigger, there's a snap, and a set of lights comes crashing down on the Deadpool. And across the street, Domino stands there with a smoking gun. As Deadpool begins to pull himself out from underneath the lights, he asks, "How am I supposed to get out of this now?" And Domino tells him, "By following her, quickly." Deadpool jumps down yelling, "Hey Domino, did you see me on TV? How did I look? Wait, were you looking for me?" Domino says, well, she missed him, and they should probably go back to her hotel and grab a drink. Deadpool begins to tell himself, "Please do not let this be a hallucination." And 18 minutes later in Domino's room, Deadpool takes another drink, and as he brings the glass down, he says, "Something tastes off. Did you put roofies in this?" 50 minutes later, over in Utopia, Domino tells everyone, "Okay, I got Deadpool under control, but please don't ask how." Cyclops then says, "Good. Now, if you could all excuse me for a moment, I need to speak with Wolverine privately." Everyone begins to leave, and as Domino does, she stops and waits by the door. Cyclops whispers to Wolverine that he needs Deadpool out of the picture, permanently. A short while later, back at Domino's hotel room, Wolverine pops the lock to the door, and he starts to sniff the air. And he says, Hell, how long has he been gone?" Domino tells him long enough to get away, hopefully. She heard what him and Cyclops were talking about. There's no way she's going to let them slaughter Deadpool. Wolverine says, "I didn't come here to slaughter him. If you're talking about out of the picture, we were going to bring him on a special mission to China, which is out of the picture." Domino says, "Wait, you weren't going to kill him?" And Wolverine tells her, "Nope, but now we may not have any other choice thanks to you. So if you have any information as to where he's gone, now's the time to talk." A short while earlier, while Deadpool was tied to Domino's bed, he says, "Cow scared the ever-living hell out of me." She begins to
can't
cut the
pass
ropes,
that
asking,
yet.
"What does that have to do with anything?" And Deadpool asks, "What are you scared of?" "I'm not leaving it till you tell me." She pauses for a moment and then says, "Chickens." Deadpool asks, "Chickens? I'm scared of those too. Why are you so afraid of them?" She says, "Well, because, it's none of your damn business." And she pushes Deadpool out the window. A little while later, Prodigy contacts Wolverine, telling him that they spotted Ellis on one of the security cameras at the Powell Street station. It looks like Norman sent some bodyguards as well. Wolverine and Domino sneak down into the sewers to try and catch Ellis off guard, but as Wolverine takes the vent cover off, Domino asks, "So what's the plan exactly?" Wolverine says that he has set it up so that the power will blow in about 5 minutes. During the confusion, they're going to go in and extract Ellis. Domino is the first to crawl in, but as she does, she starts to slow down. Wolverine bumps into her butt, asking, "What the hell, you stuck or something?" And Domino says that she can't move forward. And then a rooster begins to cluck. Shortly after that, the power grid goes down, and as one of the trains comes to a screeching halt, top of the train is Deadpool, telling himself, "I got lots of work to be done." Within seconds, the train platform becomes a war zone as Deadpool begins
Not
to
enough
shoot up
mana.
the area. Ellis's bodyguards ask what they're supposed to do now. They don't even have guns. And Ellis asks, "What? You don't even have guns? Somebody get them guns!" One of the bodyguards makes a call back to HQ asking, so what are they supposed to do in a situation like this? The woman who picked up the phone tells the bodyguard one moment while she transfers him to Mr. Osborn. Osborn answers and asks, "Where's Ellis?" And the bodyguard says, "Well, he's right here, but we're in the middle of..." Norman cuts him off, stating, "Take him to the street level. He needs to be out in the open." The bodyguard says, "Are you sure about that?" And Norman tells him, "Yeah, now do it." Up on the streets, the news channels begin to gather around to cover the recent power outage, and as Cyclops watches, he already knows what Norman's plan is. Norman is planning on killing Ellis while the X-Men are chasing after him, so that he can ruin the X-Men's reputation while he's still in the shadows. Back down in the vents, Wolverine cuts through the ceiling, and as him and Domino fall out, she asks, "You're not going to..." And Wolverine says, "Tell them that we are stopped by a chicken? Not a chance. This one's going to the grave. We need to move out." Back on the streets, Deadpool heads up onto the roof of a nearby building and gets ready to take Ellis out, but in another building, one of Norman's snipers also gets ready to shoot. The snipers begin to fire downward, and just as Deadpool gets ready to shoot, Ellis shouts, "Wait! I lied! I lied about everything!" But as Deadpool begins to pull the trigger, Wolverine runs in, tackling Ellis to the ground. And then Wolverine looks back and he looks up at Deadpool, who isn't even aiming in their direction. And he asks, "Just where were you? Oh." Ellis begins to latch onto Wolverine's leg, telling him, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And Wolverine tells him, "Just get." Ellis then yells, "It was all Norman Osborn. He made me say those things. You need to tell the public." Wolverine looks at him and says, "Your days of public speaking are over." Up on the building, Deadpool lowers his rifle and he says that there's only one thing left to do. Domino asks, "Surrender?" "Please." Deadpool says, "After all of this, do you really think that they're going to accept my surrender?" And Cyclops says, yes, we will. We can also do it another way." Down below, a reporter and her cameraman tried to watch what's going on, and Wolverine tells the cameraman that if he wants some exclusive footage, come with him. Ellis here is going to stay and have an interview, and he's going to tell her everything. Back up top, Cyclops fires an optic blast, and Deadpool rolls out of the way, saying, "Come on, you're not even trying!" Domino and Surge begin to focus their fires, guiding Deadpool right into Colossus's path. But after being punched in the face, Deadpool tells Colossus, "You've been pretty fast for a..." But before he can finish, Colossus picks him up, and Deadpool does the only thing that he thinks he can do, and that's headbutt Colossus. Colossus then asks, "What are you doing?" And Deadpool takes off his mask, laughing. And he spits up all his own blood onto Colossus. While the two of them fight, Wolverine and the camera watch, and Wolverine says, "Told ya." Just then, as Deadpool dodges more attacks, he rolls, grabbing his gun, and as he gets back up, he points the barrel of the gun right at Cyclops' head. And Deadpool tells him, "Come on, admit it, I got some moves." Cyclops doesn't say anything, and Deadpool yells at him, "Why did you have to do me like that? I was the best thing that ever happened to the X-Men." Cyclops grinds his teeth, telling him, "You are not now, or will you ever be, an X-Man." Deadpool then asks, "But what about my costume?" And Cyclops turns, hitting him in the chest with another optic blast. Wolverine turns back to the cameraman, asking, "Did you get all of that?" And the cameraman tells him, "Yeah, but the battery died." Wolverine turns back to Deadpool and asks, "Are you done now?" And Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, he's done." Cyclops gets ready to hit Deadpool again, but he stops and asks, "Wait, just what the hell happened?" And Wolverine tells him, "We got set up. Deadpool planned all of this." Cyclops asks why, and Wolverine says, "Because Deadpool wanted the X-Men to look good, and it worked. We're heroes again." Deadpool coughs up, asking, "How does it feel? Seriously, how does it feel to be a hero?" 2 hours later, on a bus, Cyclops says that he doesn't know what to say, and Deadpool says, "No thanks are necessary." Cyclops cuts him off, stating, "Other than get the hell out of here and don't come back." Deadpool tells him, "That's pretty harsh. Well, I was leaving anyway. Plus, you know what to say, but you just won't say it." He gets on the bus heading to New York, and Cyclops
That's
quietly
still
says,
recharging.
"You got some moves, Deadpool." And Deadpool opens up the window, shouting, "I heard that!" It was just like any other day for Peter Parker as he gets off a train getting ready for work. As he steps off the train, a family visiting New York stops him, asking if he could take a picture of them. He tells them, of course, give him a moment to set the focus. But before he has a chance to take the picture, the camera is snatched out of his hands by someone. Deadpool took the camera and tells the family, "All right, on the count of 3, say Deadpool's the greatest of all time." The wife asks what, and Deadpool snaps a picture, tossing the camera back, telling her, "Because it's true, duh. Dude, try to take that picture, don't quit your day job." As Deadpool walks up the streets, he says, "All right, now I need to find Spider-Man and get his attention. How am I going to do that?" Later that night, Peter goes out on patrol and stops by Mr. Cheng's deli to pick up some milk. As he waits to pay, he starts to notice things are quiet, like a little too quiet. He makes his way towards the back, kicking open the door, and that's when he finds Mr. Cheng dead, along with several other bodies that have been shot. He quickly takes off his costume and calls the police to tell him what he found. And while one of the other officers asks him if he saw anyone suspicious, he can only think of one thing. A short while later, atop a nearby building, Deadpool burps, stating, sorry, couldn't help myself. And Spider-Man swings down asking, "You couldn't help yourself? You're sicker than I thought." Deadpool shouts, "Spidey, what up, baby boy? Haven't seen you since Amazing Spider-Man 611. Out of curiosity, how sick did you think I was?" Without saying a word, Spider-Man begins punching and kicking Deadpool within seconds. Deadpool then shouts, "Holy crap, he's fast!" Just then, Deadpool's thrown from the building and lands onto the streets on his head. Spider-Man jumps down, stating, "That man had 7 kids. He kept a photo of his late wife in the store and moved it around all day so that she would always be in the sunlight." Deadpool then leans up asking, "What are you talking about?" And Spider-Man punches him again, shouting, "Mr. Cheng, the man you killed last night. Tell me why." Deadpool thinks to himself, "Did I kill Mr. Cheng?" And then he says, "All I wanted to do was get Spider-Man's attention." Spider-Man gets ready to hit Deadpool again, and just before he does, he lets out a loud burp. And Spider-Man drops him, stating, "I can't do this. This is disgusting." Deadpool tells him, "I'm sorry, I might be a little sick after all the hot dogs I ate." And then he lets out a loud fart. A short while later, Spider-Man webs Deadpool up asking, "Why? Why didn't you fight back?" And Deadpool tells him, "Because I wanted to check out your moves. You know, so I could be more like you." Spider-Man tells him, "Yeah, right. For your information, I don't kill innocent shopkeepers." Deadpool yells, "I didn't kill that guy." Spider-Man brushes him off, telling him, "Yeah, whatever, save it for the cops." And Deadpool shouts, "Come on! What time was the guy killed? Because I might have an alibi. Just check the paper." Spider-Man calls into Robbie to follow up on Deadpool's claims, and Robbie at the paper tells him, "Yeah, some weird dude with a scarred face was here about 7 o'clock. He wanted to run an ad on the front page, said he could pay $1 million. Just another nut job wanting to meet Spider-Man." Spider-Man hangs up the phone, and Deadpool tells him, "It's okay. You can apologize to me after you get me down. I will wait." Spider-Man lets him down and tells him to leave New York now. And Deadpool tells him, "Hang on. Was the hit on Mr. Cheng a pro hit?" Spider-Man doesn't respond, and Deadpool goes on stating, "I'll take that as a yes. Maybe you could help me fill in the blanks. You know, I have a unique perspective on these kinds of things." Deadpool holds out his hand to shake, but after a moment, Spider-Man shakes his hand, telling him, "Fine, but no killing." A short while later, Spider-Man brings Deadpool to the scene of the crime, and as Deadpool looks around, he says that these angles are bonkers. Whoever did this must have been jumping around like a monkey. Like, Hit Monkey. In case you didn't get it, Hit Monkey's a hitman who's a monkey. Spider-Man stares at Deadpool, and Deadpool tells him, "You don't believe me, huh?" And Spider-Man yells, "Of course not." Deadpool tells him, "Look, I'm sorry to say this, but Mr. Cheng must have had some blood on his hands. The monkey only hits hitters. Must have been someone big for him to get involved." Spider-Man starts to walk out, stating that this makes no sense. He's leaving. And Deadpool tells him, "Wait, it's true. No one has ever seen Hit Monkey, but everyone in my line of work knows about Hit Monkey. He's a legend, and he's right here in New York." Deadpool then says, "Okay, we won't be able to just find Hit Monkey. We're gonna have to bait him out. Who do we know that is a high-profile gun for hire here in New York?" And Spider-Man tells him, "You!" Meanwhile, across town, a detective arrives at the scene of a murder, begins to go over the evidence, when another officer says that they have a witness. The detective says fine, he'll go talk to them now, just give him a few moments alone. As the detective walks out, the officer questions the witness, stating that he will leave him out of it, and leaves. Once the two men are alone, the detective asks, "Where's the gun?" The witness lifts his shirt, stating that it's right here. So this makes us even, right? The detective says, yeah, just make sure to make that statement just as I said. And that girl causing problems, she won't be making any statements ever. Just don't go around talking to anyone about anything. Guy in there started to run his mouth, and, well, you see how that worked out for him, right? Just then, the sound of a silenced gun can be heard. It's like a whoop, and the hitman's face is suddenly splashed with blood. He shouts, "Hey, wait, why do you look so sad?" The gun fires 2 more times, and Hit Monkey looks at the crooked cop and the hitman and says, "Eek." The next morning, Spider-Man jumps down into a warehouse calling for Deadpool to come out, but as he lands, his spider sense goes off. Spider-Man then asks if he's pointing a gun at him, and Deadpool says, "Yeah, 2 of them. Now prove you're not a monkey." Spider-Man then asks, "Isn't talking enough?" And Deadpool tells him, "Nope, wait, what are you doing?" Spider-Man wiggles his thumb, stating, "I'm showing my thumbs. Monkeys don't have thumbs." Deadpool finally steps out wearing a maid's outfit, stating, "I knew that, so what's up?" Spider-Man says, "Well, last night a crooked cop was shot." And Wade shouts, "It wasn't me!" And Spider-Man tells him, "I know. I was following you last night." However, the strange thing is that at the scene of the crime, there was a bloody paw print. Deadpool yells, "See? Validation! It was Hit Monkey. What do you want to do now?" Spider-Man tells him, well, that's why I came here to ask you that since, you know, he's after you. Deadpool shouts, "Save me, Spider-Man!" And Spider-Man tells him that this is unbelievable, and Deadpool asks, "Is it the Tress?" He then says, "Okay, we need to set a trap. Now, how would we get Hitmonkey to find us?" Just then, Spider-Man's Spidey sense goes off, and he says by following him. Seconds later, Hitmonkey jumps through the window, shooting at Deadpool, and Deadpool shouts, "Ouch!" As the two fall back in the ground, Spider-Man asks how bad is it, and Deadpool says that he'll be healed up in about 20 minutes. Spider-Man then pauses for a moment and then says, "Wait, Hitmonkey can't really kill you, right?" "Well, yeah, but getting shot hurts." Spider-Man then asks, "Why don't we just let Hitmonkey assume you're dead?" Deadpool tells him, even if we do that, it still doesn't solve the problem that Hitmonkey is still out there. Spider-Man then says, okay, I got an idea. And a few seconds later, he tells Hitmonkey, "All right, Deadpool's all yours." Hitmonkey looks at Spider-Man for a moment, and then he turns back, unloading his clips into Deadpool. The two then go out for a day in the town, taking nice pictures and generally having a good, nice day. Deadpool yells, "Hell with that plan," and he points his gun at Spider-Man. The two begin to struggle, and Hitmonkey jumps back in shooting and ends up hitting Spider-Man. And Deadpool tells him, "Told ya, getting shot hurts." As the two fall off the supports, Spider-Man swings in, grabbing Deadpool before he can hit the ground. And then he ends up throwing the two of them into a pile of boxes. Deadpool jumps back up, telling him, "Ha! Nice rescue, jerk. Now it's time for me to leave." And Deadpool runs. Spider-Man gets back up, but he sees Hitmonkey staring at him. Just then, Hitmonkey drops his guns and begins to look at Peter's wound. But before he could fully check it out, Deadpool then springs back up from behind, shouting, "Take his stinking paws off me!" Spider-Man tries to tell Deadpool to wait, but before he can, Hitmonkey jumps back, picking up his guns with his feet, and he begins to open fire on Deadpool. A short while later, back at Peter's apartment, Peter gets patched up and changes into a new costume. Deadpool asks, "Don't you have like a spider cave or something?" Spider-Man yells, "No, don't get comfortable. We're just here to change clothes and get back out there." Deadpool says, "Well, Hitmonkey's probably long gone by now," which is good for New York unless he decides to come back. The strangest part, though, is that Hitmonkey didn't kill me. And Spider-Man shouts, "I was shot!" And Deadpool tells him, "Well, you know, not on purpose." Spider-Man then says, "Yeah, well, it did seem like an accident. And you looked so sad. Like, you regretted what you did." Deadpool then heads to the bathroom and says, "Since we're partners now, I should warn you about what's going to happen next." Spider-Man then yells, "Just open the window! And whatever you're going to do in there, don't tell me." Deadpool closes the door and begins to grunt, stating, "Okay, but don't say I didn't warn you." After several minutes, Spider-Man waits and then knocks on the door, asking what's taking so long. After not getting an answer, he opens it to find the bathroom empty and his costume missing. The next morning, New Yorkers across the state read the headline, "Spider-Man dies." While the news begins to travel, Spider-Man figured the best way to get answers as to what was going on was to attend his own funeral. Spider-Man then waits and watches as the people arrive, going on to pay their respects, and among them is Hitmonkey. That's when it clicks in Peter's head. This is all Deadpool. Peter shouts, "Gun!" Suddenly the crowd begins to panic and run for the exits. One of the officers then asks, how was there a gun brought through the metal detector? And Deadpool jumps up from the casket with guns, stating, "Easy, I didn't go through the metal detector." Deadpool then tells the officers, "There he is, arrest that monkey." But instead of pointing their guns at Hitmonkey, the officers point their guns at Deadpool. Deadpool asks, "Why are you aiming at me? I'm the good guy. It's the monkey you want." One of the officers laughs, telling him, "Yeah, right." And just then Hitmonkey knocks the two officers out, grabbing their guns. Before Deadpool can even shoot, Spider-Man grabs him, asking, "What the hell? Do you know how much damage you did by faking my death?" Deadpool tells him, "Not really." And Spider-Man pushes them down as Hitmonkey opens fire on them. Spider-Man then says, "Okay, I'm gonna draw Hitmonkey's fire so that we can split up, and you can have your guns back now." Deadpool looks at his gun and sees the barrels all bent up. Deadpool then yells, "Well, that's just great." Deadpool gets out from behind cover and charges at Hitmonkey with his bent guns. And just as Hitmonkey jumps up to shoot, his guns are shot up with webbing. Spider-Man then flings Hitmonkey into the wall, and as he slides down, Spider-Man says, "Okay, take it easy, little fella. No one's going to hurt you." But after a few moments, Deadpool asks, "Well, aren't you gonna web him up or something?" And Spider-Man tells him he's not sure. It just seems so inhumane. And Deadpool asks, "What, are you a PETA spokesperson now? That monkey is literally a killer." After a few more moments, Deadpool then looks at Hitmonkey, stating, "You're right, we're not so different, are we? We didn't ask for this. We were born into this life. Maybe together we can change. Together. How about it?" Hitmonkey stares at Deadpool and then jumps down, chomping on his head and grabbing his gun. Spider-Man tells Hitmonkey to wait, and as Hitmonkey pulls the trigger on the bent barrel gun, it explodes in his hand. The explosion knocks Deadpool to the ground, and just then, morgue officers begin to run and shouting, "Holy, Spider-Man's alive?" And Spider-Man says, "Yeah, but Deadpool isn't." And the officer says, "Who cares? He's not a hero." 4 hours later, in the Rikers Island prison, Deadpool says, "You know I'm just going to bust out of here, right?" And Spider-Man jumps in, telling him, "Yeah, how about I help you out a little?" Peter tells him that he needs to get out of New York and take that psychotic monkey with him. Deadpool asks, "So Hitmonkey's body wasn't found?" Spider-Man says, "Nope, now leave." Deadpool then says, "It's kind of ironic, right? This town loves you so much. You could get away with murder, but they will never give me credit for so much as helping an old lady across the street. Spider-Man tells him, oh, boo-hoo, I'm a lonely, misunderstood freak in nature. No one loves me. And Deadpool says, wow, it's pretty cruel. I'm just trying to be a good guy. Spider-Man then swings back out of the cell, telling him, no, you want people to love you for being good. It's not the same thing. Deadpool sighs. Yeah, it is. Deadpool sighs, telling him, no, it's pretty cruel. I'm just trying to be a good guy. Spider-Man then swings back out of the cell, telling him, no, you want people to love you for being good. It's not the same thing. Deadpool sighs. Yeah, it is. And that's when there's a loud crack-a-boom as lightning strikes and Deadpool stands tall, stating that there are two things that he really needs to say. One, that helmet, dumb. And Thor tells him, 'tis a matter of opinion. What, pray tell, is the second observation? And Deadpool points at Thor's hair, stating, you have girl hair. Pretty girl hair. You may think that you have some classic Nordic beauty or something, but you're no better than me. Thor holds out his hammer and shouts, I am a god. I wield it the Mjolnir. What art thou working with? And that's when Thor hears, shing! And Deadpool pulls out a sword that is nearly as big as him. However, in the real world, where in rural North Georgia, Deadpool is sleeping on a bus, he says, time to get my smite on. Suddenly, the bus comes to a screeching halt and Deadpool is thrown into the seat in front of him and he asks, what the hell? The bus driver looks out the window and sees a group of men about to board the bus and tells everyone that he's sorry to inform them, but he's pretty sure they're about to be robbed. A few seconds later, one of the robbers steps onto the bus shouting, listen up, everyone, you see my gun? This makes it an official holdup. The robber starts to walk down the aisle collecting the passengers' valuables when he notices that there's someone in the bathroom. The robber knocks on the door and a few seconds later he's thrown back out of the bus and in front of a second robber. Deadpool steps out stating, haha, sorry I took so long. Had to wash my hands. Hygiene is very important to me. He then points at one of the trucks that stopped the bus and he tells the second robber to go get anyone else that's there so that he can do some multi-smiting. The second robber holds out his gun telling him, I'm not sure what that even means, but I'm the one with the gun. Deadpool quickly disarms the man, turning the gun on the robber, telling him, doing that was an honest mistake. Now if you could, get the other guy out here. The robber nervously steps back, yelling, hey Lightning, come on out. And then a large man steps out of the truck, and as he walks towards Deadpool, Deadpool asks, who are you supposed to be? The large man, strapped with several car batteries, tells him, they calls me White Lightning. Deadpool stops and stares for a moment, and then he falls to his knees, laughing. As he does, a bolt of lightning strikes down on him, and Lightning asks, ain't laughing now, are ya? A short while later, Deadpool begins to wake back up, and as the passengers try to get a signal, the bus driver shouts, you're alive? Deadpool thinks to himself, you know, it'd be nice if someone for once said, thank God you're alive, instead of, well, anyway. The bus driver turns back asking, did anyone else hear that? And then the bus driver looks around and he finds a walkie-talkie. The voice from it then says, got a call from some folks stranded out on the highway saying that they've been robbed or something. You out there, Sheriff Dale? The bus driver picks up the walkie-talkie asking where did this come from, and Deadpool tells him the cops dropped it. You know, the ones that robbed us. Now go get my bag. The bus driver says that he's not so sure. They don't seem like they were cops. And Deadpool tells him, get my bag. The bus driver hurries over to underneath the storage and he asks which one is his, and Deadpool says, the one with all the guns in it. The next morning, Deadpool heads over to the Mason County Sheriff's Department and he asks the sheriff at the front desk if he can see Sheriff Dale. The sheriff says, well, he ain't here, he's out on patrol. And Deadpool then asks, well, what's taking him so dang long? The sheriff then asks, what does he mean? And Deadpool says, I just needed to confirm something. His voice sounds familiar, so maybe you'd remember me. Deadpool holds out his mask to the sheriff, and the sheriff, being the second robber from that night, starts to panic. A short while later, a female sheriff comes in stating that she's sorry for being late. She had to wait for the babysitter, and Deadpool calls out telling her, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. One more thing, there's a new sheriff in town. The woman then asks, well, what happened to the old sheriff? Deadpool tells her that he was actually going to ask her the same thing after he gets her name and those digits. The woman laughs at him, telling him that her name ain't none of his business. And if he wants to talk to Sheriff Dale, he's probably hanging out about his still. Deadpool then asks, his what? And the woman says, you know, his moonshine still. He can get away with it, so he does. Deadpool then says that it sounds like he gets away with a lot of things. And the woman tells him, yep, he has himself a gang and everything. Goes around robbing gas stations, title loan shops, all that kind of jazz. Oh wait, are you someone that Dale robbed? Are you here for revenge? Deadpool points to the badge in his chest and he says, not revenge, justice. And the woman says, oh, well, you should kill them all then. We've been needing someone to come through and put those jerks in their place. Deadpool yells that he can't. That wouldn't be heroic. And the woman tells him, well, it may not be heroic, but it needs doing. Folks in these parts take pride in where they live, and we can't have the whole county looking like a bunch of backward hillbillies. After a few moments of thinking about it, Deadpool then says, down at the still, you say. Later that night, down at Dale's still, he looks through his binoculars and he calls out to his nephew, Clovis, who happens to be White Lightning. Lightning steps out asking, what are you hollering about, Uncle Dale? And Dale tells him that it looks like they got themselves an interloper. Well, how about they show him a couple 100 volts of good old North Georgia whoop-ass? Lightning comes running out from underneath the still, charging right at the passing car, and then he blows it up with his lightning. Deadpool watches from afar, and he fires his rifle, hitting the battery pack that Lightning is carrying. The battery acid sprays on his face, and he starts to take everything off, shouting, I can't see you naked, Uncle Dale! It's my only hope! The entire time that he's doing that, though, Deadpool's kind of rolling around laughing. A few seconds later, ATF agents light up the scene and tell everyone to get down. They're all under arrest. Dale lays down next to Deadpool, asking, are you with those Avengers? And Deadpool asks him, what? Dale says, who is it? Was it Darlene? One of the ATF agents says, no. What? No, what do you mean? You got sold out by one of your own. And Dale asks, who was it? Was it Darlene? Because she's the mastermind behind it all. Just look at us. Do we really have the smarts to run an operation this size? Lightning then says that he thinks Darlene has gone and set them up. And Dale shouts, you reckon? Deadpool leans up stating, actually, he's telling the truth. Later at the sheriff's station, Deadpool explains before he left, he may have pulled the gun on Darlene and made her confess. The ATF agent then says that they really should be turning him in for everything that's in his file. And Deadpool asks,
It's
so
too far
you read it?
away.
You know who I am? And the ATF agent says, yep. And Deadpool then asks, so you know if you happen to actually try? The ATF agent then uncuffs him stating, yep, now get. With the news of the original Avengers reuniting, many people took it as a sign of hope, that hopefully their world will stop having to see so much violence. Others, however, took it as an opportunity to party, like those at the Poppy Field nightclub in Las Vegas. When the reporter asks the club manager how everyone's reacting to the new Avengers, the manager says that it's been so long since the kids had any kind of heroes to look up to. Who are they supposed to look up to, huh? Because it ain't no dirtbags like Deadpool. It just so happens that Deadpool is watching the news that night. And the next night, the manager of the Poppy Field nightclub goes into his office when he suddenly hears a voice telling him, hello, do you happen to know who I am? The manager looks at Deadpool and he tells him, I'm gonna take a guess and say you're the guy who broke into my office and didn't realize the costume party was last night. Deadpool tells him, oh, I know all about the costume party. I saw it on TV. You're the guy who defamed me. Called me a dirtbag in the memory servers. The manager steps back telling him, wait, you're actually Deadpool? Am I gonna, die now? And Deadpool tells him, I happen to notice that this room has a panic button. I'm gonna have to say this now. You might not want to push that button. Some bad things might happen. The manager tells him, look, I don't want any trouble. And Deadpool tells him, oh well, if that's the case, I should be going then. As Deadpool begins to leave, the manager sighs, letting out a sigh of relief, but then pushes the panic button. Down in the club, the button triggers Deadpool's makeshift explosives, and he blows apart Club Poppy Fields. A few moments later, the casino owners run to the security room to figure out what's going on, and while they do, they notice that one of their casinos is losing a lot of money. One of the owners looks at the camera and says that it's Deadpool. A robotic voice from behind then tells everyone that there's no way it's a coincidence that he's here and everything's exploding. The owner looks back asking, can you handle Deadpool? And the Las Vegas superhero, The House, tells him, it'll be my pleasure, but there's something I'm gonna need you to do. Back over at the casino, an announcement goes out that in just a few moments, the inaugural B. Arthur lookalike contest is about to begin. Seeing how much Deadpool loves B. Arthur, he grabs his chips and he begins to run around the lobby when he suddenly stops. He looks up, telling him, you gotta be kidding me. This giant mechanical suit looks nothing like B. Arthur. As the news reporters begin to get onto the scene, they begin to describe the events and how House is taking on Deadpool. Deadpool asks, the House? That's the best you could come up with? House blasts Deadpool back, telling him, I could do you one better, Wade. Welcome to Las
I'm out of
Vegas,
range.
where the House always wins. Deadpool gets up telling him, wait, I know names. Who's in that suit anyway? House pushes the button on the side of his helmet. And as it starts to retract, the man inside tells him, "My name's Weasel. Guess what? I'm a hero now." 43 minutes later, Deadpool wakes up trapped in a box. And not any box, the torture box that Deadpool put Weasel into so long ago. The box is lined with razor-sharp objects, making it near impossible to move around without cutting yourself. He then asks if this box is just for him, and Weasel tells him, "Yeah, I've been keeping it in storage, so don't worry, I'm over the fact that I was once in there." Deadpool tells him that it's cool that he's gotten over it, but there's one thing that he could do. You know, you could go screw yourself. Weasel shouts that he shouldn't have come to Vegas. "This is my city now. I'm the hero around here. I even got a cool accent now." Deadpool says, "I would clap for you, but you know. Anyway, out of curiosity, how much money are you making?" Weasel tells him that he wouldn't believe him if he told him, and Deadpool tells him, "Come on, try me." Weasel turns back, hearing the voice coming from somewhere else, and as Deadpool sits on a ledge, Weasel asks him how. Deadpool tells him, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you. But anyway, I got a proposition. I'll like it very much." Weasel asks, "And what if I don't want to do it?" Deadpool tells him, "Well, if you say no, then I'm gonna beat you with a giant hammer, the one right over there. But if you say yes, well then you'll be making twice as much as you're making now. How about we do that? Expand. From the looks of it, you got 2 house suits, right? How about we use them, partner?" Later that night, the supervillain Grizzly bursts into one of the casinos. Right on cue, Weasel makes his appearance as the House. Just as Grizzly starts to fight back, he's hit in the legs with a laser. Everyone looks back asking who was it, and Weasel tells him that he would like to introduce Wildcard, the House's new sidekick. Just as the two of them make their debut, the roulette table is thrown at them, and Grizzly says that he's going to show them how the Grizz handles business around here. Grizzly picks Deadpool up by his suit and he begins to bear hug him, and just then, Deadpool rockets the two of them off into the sky. Once they stop and begin to float, Deadpool pulls back his helmet stating, "Hey, I got a proposition for you. You're gonna love it." Later, once Grizzly is, dealt with, Weasel brings Deadpool over to meet his bosses, and they tell him that Wildcard is a hit. He even makes it look better than him. Just who is Wildcard? Weasel tells them, well, Wildcard would rather remain anonymous, so... Deadpool pulls back his helmet telling them, "Hi, my name's Deadpool. Perhaps you've heard of me." The owners look at Deadpool and state that he is a maniac and everyone hates him. Does he honestly think they're gonna let him run around in a super-powered armored suit? And Deadpool tells them, "Well, do you honestly think you have a choice?" The owners then tell him, "Well, that's a good point." Later, back at Weasel's lab, Weasel walks in stating, "Thanks for making me look bad in front of everyone." And Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, well, look at all the press I'm getting. Wildcard is so hot and fresh, I can do no wrong." But, okay, maybe I did show you a big time. Sorry about that. How about this? We switch. Weasel asks him what does he mean, and Deadpool says, "We switch suits. Who's gonna know the difference?" Weasel says, "Well, the casino owners will." And Deadpool tells him, "Not if we don't tell them." Weasel then asks, so he's gonna be the sidekick? And Deadpool shouts, "Embrace your destiny, friend!" Just then the alarms go off, and as Weasel gets to the computers, he sees a security feed of Grizzly breaking back into the casino. Deadpool hops into the house suit, asking what is he waiting for. It's time for them to go spank some bare ass. The two of them quickly finish suiting up, and they go out to stop Grizzly, but after taking a few hits, Grizzly begins to head towards the counting room. Grizzly then punches into the room where the casino holds and counts all of their money, and he tells everyone, "All right, bag it all up." Once Grizzly has the money, Weasel stands in front of the doorway asking, "Do you really think that you're going to get through here?" Grizzly turns back and runs full speed into Deadpool and Weasel, knocking them down. And Weasel shouts, "Come on, we gotta hurry." Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, about that, I got a headache, so I'm just gonna take it easy now." Weasel runs off to catch up with Grizzly, telling him that he should be ashamed of himself. And Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, they should be." Weasel then follows Grizzly outside and goes back to fighting, and just when Grizzly thinks he can take Wildcard out, Weasel hits him with a blast, slamming him into the ground. Grizzly gets back up, and as he looks, he sees Wildcard charging up another blast, aimed directly at his head. Everyone asks if Wildcard is going to kill someone, and once Weasel is done charging, he reaches down and honks Grizzly's nose. Everyone then starts to cheer for Wildcard, and shortly after, Deadpool comes out shouting, "Yeah, let's hear it for them." The crowd begins to quiet down, and then the cheers turn into boos. And Deadpool asks, "Oh, so it's gonna be like that, huh? After all I've done for you and I saved this crappy town, now you're gonna turn on me?" Weasel reaches out telling him, "Dude, chill. It's not the time to freak out." And Deadpool tells him, "Oh no, it's the perfect time to freak out. and he punches Weasel. Everyone starts to panic and run away, and Deadpool begins to pick up the money, and then Grizzly, and he begins to fly away. Everyone watches as House gets away with both the casino's money and a supervillain, and among those people are the casino owners. As news spreads of Weasel's betrayal, the casino owners ask Deadpool, why would he do something like this? And Deadpool says it's obvious, Weasel's a disgruntled man. Not only did he feel like he was made to look bad, but he felt like you guys weren't even backing him up. But if there's one thing you should know, it's that Weasel will be back. And the casino owners ask, are you sure? And Deadpool says, buddy, I can guarantee it. He'll probably be back first thing in the morning. Later, Deadpool heads over to the warehouse where he's keeping the house suit and Grizzly, and tells Grizzly, all right, we're hitting them again first thing tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, a short while later over the Mojave Desert, Weasel makes a call to the only person that he can trust, Blind Al. Blind Al tells him that he should be running. Run and never look back. He's getting involved with Deadpool, and Weasel shouts asking, I just let Deadpool win? And she says, well, you lost the moment you started playing his game. That's how it works with Deadpool. Weasel yells, no way! I'm here and I'm gonna take Deadpool out once and for all. And Blind Al says, yeah, well, you're an idiot. Just then the explosion goes off and Deadpool and Grizzly get to work robbing the casino again. Weasel climbs into the wild card suit stating, all right, time to make that traitorous jerk pay. Over at the casino, Deadpool breaks down the walls, and as they do, Grizzly asks, can you stop with all the smoke? Deadpool tells him, yeah, sorry about that, wrong button. While Grizzly starts running for the vault, Deadpool waits in front for Weasel to arrive, and just as he does, he shouts, there you are! Weasel begins to beat into Deadpool, shouting, you are so unbelievable! Betraying me like this, we used to be friends! Deadpool stands back telling him, dude, you gotta stop living in the past! Look around, it's a world of opportunity. Everything here is for the taking. Join me, and with our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order. Weasel charges up his laser, yelling, I will never join you. And he fires a blast, burning right through Deadpool's helmet and head. He then waits for a moment, asking, did I do it? I did it. Now I gotta get Grizzly. Meanwhile, over at the vault, Grizzly starts going through the bags, and he realizes that there's something weird about the bags. He tries to figure out what's going on, and the vault door slams down shut with him in it, and he sighs. A few hours later, after turning Grizzly in and making the repairs needed to the wild card suit, Weasel gets a call from the casino owners who still think that Deadpool is wild card. The owners state that they ran into a problem after cleaning everything up. The house suit, it was empty. Weasel's body vanished. Weasel sighs, and behind him, Deadpool asks, is that bad news or what? Weasel spins back asking, how? And Deadpool tells him, easy, I snuck out. Why do you think there was so much smoke there? In the vault, all fake money. Screwed you over. Weasel tells him, great. Did you come back to kill me? Deadpool shouts, of course not. The house was a crappy superhero and you need to face it. You were gonna blow it sooner or later. That is why you're going to return as being wildcard. Weasel thinks about it and then says, wait, what about you? And Deadpool tells him, well, I'm gonna have to disappear. Weasel shouts, I knew it. Where am I supposed to go? And Deadpool tells him, there's only one answer, and we both know it. The next day, Deadpool heads into the casino to meet with the owners, and the owners tell him that it's nice of him to show up an hour late. Deadpool tells him, well, justice may never sleep, but I do, especially on Wednesdays. One of the owners says, actually, it's Friday. And Deadpool yells, and Fridays! Another owner tells him, onto business. Was Weasel taken care of? And Deadpool tells him, of course, he's in a box. Okay, good meeting. See you guys like in what, 2 weeks? Another owner then says that he might not realize this, but as the chief of security, he was expected to brief them every morning and night. Deadpool scoffs, man, you make it sound like a job. And the last owner says, well, yeah, because it is. Deadpool pauses and realizes what this means. Wait, I have a job? No! After a few minutes pass, the owners ask, what do you mean I quit? And Deadpool says, just what it sounds like. This job sucks and I don't want to do it anymore. One of the owners then shouts, we had an agreement. And Deadpool says, that's a good point. However, I have a gun. Another owner then says, fine, go ahead and leave. We can just have any idiot wear that suit. There was never anything special about you. Deadpool stops and tells him, now, that you really shouldn't have said. After beating up all three of them, Deadpool walks out of the boardroom cracking his knuckles, stating, haha, much better. He then looks forward and sees someone and asks, so, are you gonna stand there looking all scary, or do you have something to say? Ghost Rider tells him, well, you've already said it all. And he throws his chains around Deadpool's neck and he begins to speed off. As Ghost Rider drags Deadpool through traffic and onto the desert, he says, you will pay for your transgressions of being an assassin. Deadpool tells him, wait, I'm not an assassin, I'm a mercenary. There's a difference. Ghost Rider calls back, not to me, there isn't. As Ghost Rider drives on, Deadpool begins to pull himself up the chains, and then he reaches over to the handbrake, pulling it on the bike. It comes to a screeching halt, and the two of them are thrown off the bike and into the air. As Deadpool comes crashing down, he pulls out his guns and he opens fire. When he lands, he ends up breaking several bones and says, okay, maybe that wasn't a good idea. There was a loud whoosh, and the Ghost Rider tells him, you're damn right it wasn't. Ghost Rider picks Deadpool up by his neck and tells him, it's time for Wade Wilson to feel the pain of penance that is long overdue. The penance stare will reveal all of your past sins, and we will see through the eyes of those that you have wronged. Deadpool asks, so, it's like a highlight reel. Well, what are you waiting for? Roll the damn tape. As Ghost Rider stares into Deadpool's eyes, something happens and it knocks the both of them apart. Johnny Blaze stands back up, realizing that he reverted out of his Ghost Rider form. And he sees Deadpool and he asks, what the hell? However, in Deadpool's mind, he begins to see his life back when he was 18 and tried to kill his parents. Then when he was picked up to be trained as a soldier. Then when he was told he had cancer and he volunteered for treatment. Back in the current time, Deadpool wakes up screaming. He sees Johnny and he punches him right in the face. Johnny gets back up and Deadpool asks, wait, aren't you the Ghost Rider? And Johnny tells him, yeah, sometimes. Deadpool says, well, cool, I'm Deadpool all of the time, and I don't need to be reminded of it. Deadpool picks Johnny up by his shirt and asks, what did you see? Deadpool pushes him back, telling him nothing I haven't seen before. Johnny points off into the distance, telling him that the town is 80 miles that way. And Deadpool stops, telling him, great. He then asks if he can use his ghost powers and repair the bike. Johnny says, no, I fix it with tools. So Deadpool sits and he waits. And after a little bit, Johnny gets back up, telling him, all right, let's ride. Deadpool waits for a moment and then says someone told him once at the end of it all, what they regret is not the things that they've done, the things that they didn't do. Johnny doesn't say anything, and then Deadpool asks, did you come after me to kill me? Johnny tells him, no, he didn't. Ghost Rider did, and no. Ghost Rider probably wanted you to see something. If he meant to kill you, you'd be dead. Deadpool then asks, so, do you think I deserve to die? Johnny tightens up one last bolt, and he says, based on what I know, yeah. Deadpool looks at him, and he tells him, thanks, man. In the small town of Little Fork, Wisconsin, Deadpool makes a stop at a gas station to fill up on microwave burritos. But as Deadpool goes to pay, the clerk tells him they don't accept gold. Deadpool asks, what do you mean you don't take gold? It's freaking gold! Just take the gold before these delicious burritos start congealing. Because when that happens, things are gonna get ugly. The clerk tells him, again, we only accept American dollars. And Deadpool tells him, okay, how about a compromise? Take a guess at what I do have. The clerk stares for a moment and then he asks, you have a mask and guns? Are you robbing me? Before Deadpool can answer, a group of masked men holding
Warming up some back to the grind.
It's too far away. I'm out of range.
Get that loot. Ooh, upgrade. Ah, leather. Ah, damn it. Play if that was a cloth. Tunic instead. Soup's ready. Just kill this guy and go stand in a safe spot before I go grab that.
I need to get closer.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's put an extra 2 smites in. Okay. Stand back in the corner.
Guns tell the clerk, yup. Deadpool looks back asking, who the hell are you guys? And just as the clerk hits the security button to close the door, Deadpool shouts, wait, the burritos! The shutter slams down on the burrito, sending a glob of filling into one of the masked men's face. As he yells, ew, it's all congealed! Deadpool quickly grabs one of the guns, shooting the man in the head, and as he falls back, the masked man says, that was a bad idea. As all of the men start firing, Deadpool starts to notice a problem. These men can regenerate like him. How is he supposed to deal with them now? But then it hits him. Put a grenade in their mouth. One of the men points his gun at Deadpool, so Deadpool spins around, taking the gun from him, punching him in the mouth, leaving a grenade behind. The grenade explodes, and as the smoke begins to clear, the masked men look around, asking, where did he go? And another shouts, forget him! Focus on the real target. Meanwhile, over in the storage area, Deadpool finds a ladder leading down underground, and as he climbs down, he finds the store clerk. In guns. Lots and lots of guns. Deadpool shouts, holy crap! You're an Arab living in America and you're a terrorist? That is so disappointingly stereotypical and racist. The clerk asks him, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not a terrorist, I'm a businessman. And Deadpool says, oh yeah? Prove it. And the clerk tells him, okay, let me go get my business license. It's just in the back. He turns and heads into the vault and then he slams it shut. Deadpool stares, asking, really? Again? And the masked man from before tells him, yep. A few moments and a few bullet holes later, Deadpool says, okay, stop! Stop! I keep regenerating, you keep regenerating, this is pointless. The clerk opens up a sliding door asking if he needs grenades. He's got grenades, he can sell him one if he's got the cash. Oh wait! Deadpool looks back at the masked man telling him, fine, just who are you? Why do you have regeneration powers? Why are you after him? One of the men says, well, we really can't tell you anything, but what we can say is that we're not after you, we're after the store owner. We came here to take his weapons cache. And Deadpool says, wait, are you the terrorist? One of the masked men tells him, no, we're patriots. The store owner is a terrorist. The clerk shouts, I am not a terrorist! I got my weapons from the CIA. They wanted me to sell them in my country, but I brought them here instead. If anything, you're the terrorist! Deadpool throws his arms up telling everyone, you know, this is a complex political discussion that I would rather not have. And just then another voice tells him, well, I'll make it easy for you. You're all terrorists. Everyone looks back to see Captain America, Black Widow, and Moon Knight just staring at them. And Deadpool yells, wait, he's Cap! Everyone thought you were dead! Cap punches Deadpool, telling him, well, no such luck, punk. Cap, Black Widow, and Moon Knight then start to take out all of the masked men, and as the last one falls, Moon Knight asks, so how are we gonna deal with the store owner? Cap tells him, we'll deal with him. Hard. A few seconds later, the vault doors blow open and the clerk steps out in a battlesuit, telling them, stupid Americans! Just so you know, I am a terrorist. And a second after that, the clerk is shot in the head from behind, and Deadpool says, yeah, I knew it the whole time. Cap tells him, you know, I really like the way you move. How'd you like to come work with us? Inside Deadpool's mind, he thinks to himself, I can't even think about what to say. And after stuttering for a few moments, he says, you're awesome. A few days go by with Cap, Black Widow, and Moon Knight beginning to watch an anti-government militia stronghold known for stockpiling small arms and explosives. Word has it that there's supposed to be a package delivered that may be containing bomb components. However, there's no word as to what kind of bomb they're making. Cap pulls down the scanner and begins to look around, and then he asks, where's Deadpool? A few seconds later, the entire stronghold explodes, and as Deadpool walks back to everyone, he yells, hey, check it out, they had a bomb in there, so I used the bomb on their asses. Cap shouts that that was not the mission. And Moon Knight adds, we're supposed to be confiscating the bomb, not blowing it up. Deadpool tells him, yeah, if you need bombs, I know a guy. Wait, why would you need a bomb? And Cap says, oh, for, blowing up terrorists. And Deadpool says, like I just did? And Cap says, yeah, just give me a moment. And he walks away to make a call. Just as the person picks up, Cap says, this guy is driving me nuts. And the voice tells him to relax. Remember what they talked about in their sessions. You are Steve Rogers, the super soldier. You can do this. As Cap hangs up, he takes a deep breath. I can do this. He turns back to Deadpool and tells him, I don't like you. And he punches him in the side of the head. Later, when Deadpool wakes up at a super secret underground headquarters, he rubs his head stating, man, you should call Cap. Steve hits like a girl Rogers. Meanwhile, over in another room, Cap is telling Dr. Bong that he doesn't get it. Why do they need Deadpool anyway? Bong says it's because Deadpool is the genuine article. Cap says, oh, so because we're genetic clones, you mean? And Bong tells him, yes, you're imperfect clones. Cap says under his breath, that really hurts. And Bong tells him, I'm sorry for my hurtful comment, and my failings as the genetic engineer, but unfortunately, the truth can be hurtful. The next day, Clone Cap, Clone Widow, and Clone Knight stake out another stronghold. But after a few moments inside, Deadpool sees Clone Cap and yells, hey, wait, about yesterday. Before Deadpool can get another word out,
It's too
Clone
far
Cap turns
away.
around, punching him to the ground, and as Deadpool gets up, he thinks, man, someone learned how to throw a punch. Just then the alarms go off and Bong shouts, we're under attack! Clone Knight asks, is that? And Bong tells him, yes, the real Steve Rogers. Bong radios to Clone Cap, telling him that he needs to report in, and as Clone Cap steps back outside, he's shot in the chest and then the head. The real Black Widow tells him, don't worry, he'll regenerate. Eventually. Back inside of the secret base, everyone watches, and Clone Widow says that they need to get out of here. And Bong tells her no. What they need to do is simple, fight our way out. Clone Knight looks back at the video to see the real Cap beating up Deadpool, saying, yeah, fudge that. Over at the fight, Deadpool pulls out one of his katanas, slashing into Cap's chest, shouting, so it's like that, huh? I really used to look up to you. And then when you asked me to join you, I almost couldn't believe it. Cap asks him, what are you talking about? I never. But before he could finish, Deadpool kicks him in the throat. Deadpool then picks up Cap, telling him, I should have known. You didn't want to be my pal, you're just like the others. Cap headbutts Deadpool, and Deadpool finishes telling him, you're just out to use me. Deadpool then headbutts Cap back, telling him, you know, I would have let you too. Why turn on me? Is it because I showed you up? Because I make it look so much better than you could? Cap gets up from the beating and he spits out blood, telling him, yeah, that's exactly it. The two continue beating each other senseless, and just before Deadpool can end the fight, he feels several small blades shoot into his back. The real Moon Knight asks, so can I get in on this too? And Cap tells him, no more fighting, we have to talk. Back over at the control room, Bong watches the feed and says, damn, well, that's it, time to face the facts, this venture's over. Clone Widow asks, what, we giving up? And Bong says, of course not. Do I look like Dr. Surrender? Bong then rings the bell in his hand, destroying the clones and bringing down the entire complex. A short while later, Cap begins to wake up, and he finds himself tied up along with Black Widow and Moon Knight, with Deadpool yelling, hey, my buddy! Should I say buddies? In front of Deadpool is both the real and fake Cap. And Deadpool asks,
need to get
which
closer.
is which, and why are there two of you? One of the Caps says that the other's an imposter. Dr. Bong created him. And Deadpool asks, why would my old shrink be involved in this? And Cap goes up stating it's because Bong needed money to fund his genetic experiments. He's using the clones to rob weapon caches and then sell them on the black market. And Deadpool says, okay, the guys at the mini-mart. And Cap says also clones. Deadpool then asks, of what? And Cap says he's not sure, they were wearing ski masks. But all of Bong's clones have regeneration powers. Deadpool looks at the other Cap and asks him, what do you think? And that Cap tells him, He's telling the truth, except the part about him being me. After a few moments of looking back and forth, Deadpool says, "This is interesting. There's just one thing that I did notice, though. One Cap has a big old bullet hole in his costume with seemingly no injury, and the other one is cut and is still bleeding." Deadpool points his gun at the Cap with the bullet hole, asking, "Where's Dr. Bomb, Cloney McCloneface?" The other Cap says that Bong used his powers to teleport to his secondary base, which is about 2 hours from here. And Deadpool then points his gun at Cap with the cut, asking, "How do you know that?" And that Cap tells him, "Because I'm Steve Rogers." Deadpool flings his arm back, shooting the head off of Clone Cap, yelling, "Hell yeah, you are!" Once Deadpool unties the real Avengers, they begin to crawl out of the destroyed facility, and Deadpool stops for a second and then asks, "Is that a ride?" Cap tells him that they secured available transport. It just happened to be a hatchback sedan. While everyone piles into the car, with not even 5 minutes going by, Deadpool shouts, "Oh, stop the car!" Moon Knight asks, "You want to go there?" And Cap sighs, telling him, "Just let him do it." Meanwhile, over at a warehouse, Bong shouts to his clones, "Quickly, my lackeys! We have these crates of weapons loaded." One of the clones then asks, "What's the big hurry?" And Bong tells him it's because I'm expecting guests. Now everyone switch to your Deadpool costumes. A short while later, outside at the warehouse, Deadpool and the others get out of the car, and Deadpool asks, "Are you sure about this place?" And Cap tells him, "Yup." And Moon Knight asks, "What's the plan? You do have a plan, right?" Deadpool yells, "Of course I do. While you go over there, I'm gonna go over there to do something like kill Bong." Cap tells him no, there will be no killing in this operation. Deadpool tells him, "Fine, okay, new plan. I should warn you though, it's about to get a little weird." Shortly after that, everyone is surrounded by clone pools. Everyone begins fighting, and one of the clone pools escapes the fray, shouting, "Dr. Bong, they're here! They're kicking our asses!" Bong climbs into his truck, and one of the clone pools asks, "What are you doing, running away?" And Dr. Bong tells him, "Of course not. I'm driving away while you and the other clones keep the heroes busy." The other clone pool asks, "Why don't you just go do the Bong thing?" And Bong asks, "And risk detonating a tractor trailer full of explosives worth several $millions? I think not." The first clone pool says, "Well, can we go with you? You're gonna need someone to help unload all this stuff." Bong thinks on it for a second and tells them, "Good point. However, there's only one seat." The beat-up clone pool cuts the head off the first one, and Bong says, "I like your resolve. Get in." Back in the fight, Widow punches another clone, asking if this is Deadpool's plan. It's totally chaos! And Cap tells her, "No, it's Bong's plan." One of the clones shouts, "It's me! I'm the real Deadpool!" And Moon Knight promptly snaps his neck. Cap and Widow stare, and Moon Knight asks, "What? You could have been lying for all we know." Widow then grabs her rifle and looks down the street and says that she has spotted Bong. She takes aim at the tire, firing, and as the tire blows out, Bong's truck swerves into the barrier and off the ledge. The truck continues to drive until it falls off the overpass, and as it explodes, Widow says, "Ah, crud!" Soon Cap and the others hurry down to the wreck, and Cap then asks if there's any sign of Bong. Widow tells him that she's sorry, she didn't anticipate that, and suddenly Bong's voice shouts, "That I would live? Do you think that Dr. Bong would be so easily defeated?" And Clone Pool tells him, "Actually, you would have if I hadn't gotten you out of the truck in time." And then he turns to Cap asking, "So, does this make me a hero now?" And Cap tells him, "Yes, Deadpool." Bong looks back at Deadpool, realizing that the clone pool was just Deadpool acting, and says, "That was very unwise to let me live." And Deadpool asks, "Don't you get it? I'm a hero now." Bong says, "Oh, well, congratulations. Hope that works out for the few seconds you're still alive." Bong begins to hold out his arm, but before he can hit it, Bong shouts in pain. Deadpool then pulls his katana away, stating, "Actually, without that hand, Dr. Bong won't bong ever again." Deadpool then turns back to everyone and shouts, "Could I get up?" And as he throws his arms up, fireworks started to explode in the sky. Moon Knight says, "Wait, is that why you needed those fireworks?" Earlier, just before the battle at a local fireworks shop, Deadpool walks up holding bags filled with rockets.
I'm out of
stating,
range.
"Seriously, trust me, guys. These are integral to the genius of my geniusy plan. Genius!" It was late night in Deadpool's apartment when shadowy figures seemed to loom over his bed. The shadows tell Deadpool that it's time to wake up, and he asks if he's having a nightmare? One of the men says no, this is actually happening, and Deadpool then asks, "Am I really being surrounded by Draculas?" The man stops and tells him no, they're not all named Dracula, the proper term is, but before the man can finish, Deadpool starts unloading his gun, shooting at the vampires. He gets up telling them, "Save it for someone who actually cares, Dracula." After getting dressed and strapping a gun to his head for some reason, Deadpool makes a hasty retreat outside, but he's stopped again by the first vampire. The man tells him, "Listen," and Deadpool says, "Sure, I'm all ears." And then he proceeds to shoot everyone again. The first vampire shouts, "Damn it, stop shooting, you idiot! We came to hire you, not kill you." The vampire hands Deadpool a card with the name Colvin on it, and he tells him, "Look, just meet me at this address tomorrow at dusk. All will be explained." Deadpool looks at it and tells him, "Haha, Yeah, right, Dracula. I don't work for Draculas. I'm one of the good guys tonight. The vampires start to leave, and Colvin tells him, so are we, just think about it. So after thinking about it for the night, Deadpool shows up at the address that Colvin gave him on the following night, because Deadpool never really thinks. Colvin tells him that they're facing a major problem for both humans and vampires. Dracula's son Zaris has staged a coup that threatens to undo everything that they've accomplished over the
It's too
centuries
far
in a
away.
matter of days. A rival sect known as Claw Sect has been attacking them. For him to better understand, they're being attacked by other Draculas. Deadpool tells him, okay, that makes sense. Why me? Colvin explains that Zaris has given the Claw Sect a special amulet, one that can block a portion of the ultraviolet
I don't have a
spectrum,
target.
so they need him for protection during the day. Whatever his price is, they will pay. Deadpool says that he needs to think about it in Colvin's aid, so that Jvanna whispers that Deadpool's just going to shoot them again. And Deadpool yells, no, I'm not! But I'm not going to help you either, for two very specific reasons. One, they are Dracula, and Dracula 2, so have fun dying again. Colvin tells Deadpool to wait. There's so much that they do that is unknown to the world. For hundreds of years, they've collected their resources to open up the Mercy General Hospital, which is currently above them. It's one of the last privately owned hospitals in the nation, and in over 100 years, they've never turned away a patient for any reason. They have the lowest mortality rates of any hospital on the planet, and 30% of their annual gross profit is donated to various humanitarian aid foundations. The remaining amount is used to pay staff. The only thing that they take is the blood and a small administrative fee. Zaris and his allies want to go to war with the human race, so if he's really one of the good guys, now's the time to prove it. Deadpool thinks about it for a second and then tells him, sure, I'll do it. But there's one thing I'd like to know. If these vampires can walk around during the day, how am I supposed to spot them? Colvin tells him, believe him, spotting them won't be a problem. And that night, Dr. Matsuki notices a man hunched over in a corner asking if everything's all right. The man tells her no, and he leans out of the shadows, revealing himself to be covered in bandages from head to toe, stating that he will help himself though. Matsuki pulls out a gun, telling him that 2 years of self-defense training and 3 weeks of firearms training says otherwise. The man says that the weapon will not save her, and then Deadpool says, yeah, but mine will, and the man is suddenly stabbed with a wooden stake. The wooden kind, not the meat kind. Deadpool pushes the stake in further and he jumps around the man, cutting off his head. As he looks back, he sees Matsuki.
I need to get
He says,
closer.
wow, you're looking pretty hot over there. After I'm done killing these Draculas, would you be interested in getting tacos? Matsuki says, wait, that's Dracula? There's more? And Deadpool yells, oh, hell yeah, there are. Ceres, the leader of the Claw Sect raid group, radios in asking if everything's all right in there. Do they find the entrance to the resting chambers? Deadpool grabs the dead vampire's radio, telling them, yeah, it's in the, chapel. Ceres tells his men that doesn't seem right. Go in and see what's going on. Back inside, Deadpool starts to take Matsuki to the chapel, and she tells him to wait. They need to tell security about this. Deadpool tells her, yeah, that's not happening, and then Matsuki shoots Deadpool in the leg to let her go. He begins to shout, ow! And he turns back and shoots her in the leg. She falls to the ground, and he tells her, look, I get your message. Just so you know, I have the same feelings too. Deadpool starts to pick her up and she screams to put me down, you psycho piece of... And Deadpool shushes her, telling her, it's okay. There's no need for words. After a few moments, she looks around
That spell
asking if
isn't
they're in
ready
a
yet.
chapel. And Deadpool asks, isn't it romantic? One of the vampires opens the doors, telling him, very. Deadpool whispers to Matsuki, don't worry, baby, I got this one. Then he drops her on the ground. The vampire says, you know, bringing me here was a mistake. I'm protected from the sun with this amulet. The vampire holds up the amulet and Deadpool shoots it to pieces, and so that vampire starts to burn. Deadpool tells him, right, about that. He then picks up Matsuki, stating, all right, now we need to get to your security room. That's probably going to be the next place that the Draculas hit. Meanwhile, over in the security room, 2 guards look at the cameras asking, why is this one down? The other guard radios over to Oscar the janitor to check it out, and Oscar tells them that he found a body with no head. Wait, oh.
I can't carry anymore. Inventory is full.
The head's over there. What should I do? The guard tells him that he should come back, and Ceres says that that would be an excellent idea. The more the merrier. A few moments later, Deadpool heads over to the security room, seeing 2 guards sitting inside. He tells Madzuki to wait here. This could be a trap. So Madzuki runs into the security room screaming, "Help me! We're under attack by vampires!" As she gets inside, she notices the guards aren't moving, and Ceres tells her, "Yeah, you're definitely under attack by vampires." A few moments go by, and then Deadpool walks in, and Ceres says, "So, the girl you love is moments away from being slaughtered. What are you going to do about it?" Deadpool scratches his chin and tells them, "Well, I lost the element of surprise."
That's
And Ceres
still
says,
recharging.
"Drop all your weapons." So Deadpool begins to throw his guns on the ground, which happens to be a lot of guns. And Ceres tells him that really is an unnecessary amount of guns, but it doesn't matter. Where are the cowards? Deadpool asks, why would he tell him? You're gonna kill the both of us either way, so I might as well drag this out as long as I can. Ceres says, actually, I just gave them something. By saying they, that means that she knows where they are. So where is Director Colvin? Before Madzuki can say anything, Deadpool yells, "Damn you, Dracula, and your superior mind!" Ceres pauses and tells them, "I'm not Dracula." And Deadpool tells him, "Yeah, right, and I'm not dead." But before he could finish, one of Ceres' men stabs Deadpool, and Ceres yells, "Yeah, now you are." A short while later in the halls, Madzuki says, "Oh wait, she forgot that they need to be down in the other halls." Ceres then grabs her by the throat, yelling, "Stop running us in circles! You don't know where they are, do you?" And Madzuki struggles for air, stating, "Yes." Oh, right next to them is Oscar the janitor, and he says, "Hola." Everyone looks at Oscar, and Oscar tells Madzuki, "Don't worry, senorita, I'll clean this up." Madzuki tells him, "Wait, you don't know who these men are?" And Oscar tells her, "Si." Oscar then snaps his mop, telling her that he knows exactly who they are. But before anything can happen, the fire alarm goes off, and while everyone is flooding out of the hospital, Deadpool appears, takes the broken mop from Oscar, and then he runs up, picking Madzuki. As the water starts to pour down on everyone, it burns away at Ceres and his men, and Ceres asks, "Is this holy water?" And Deadpool tells him, yes it is. I had blessed by a priest 12 hours ago. And right now, Deadpool's running with Madzuki down the hallways with her telling him,
I can't carry
we may have lost
anymore.
them. So he asks, "Really? Damn." And then he peers around the corner yelling, "Hey, we're over here." As the other vampires start to run after them, Madzuki yells, "Why would you do that?" And Deadpool tells her, "Because I'm a man of mystery. Get used to it." A short while later, Ceres tracks Deadpool down to the MRI room. But before they can go in, Ceres says that they need to be careful. This may be a trap. Deadpool opens up the door, telling them, "Oh, it is totally a trap." And he stabs one of the men with the broken mop. The man then quickly shuts the door, and Ceres kicks it down, shouting, "Deadpool!" And Deadpool tells him, whoa. Inside voices, I can hear you just fine. He points over to the MRI machine, asking, "Do you know what this is?" It's an MRI. It's basically a big electrical magnet, and I may have just turned it on. Suddenly, Ceres and his men begin to feel their weapons and amulets pulling off of them. Deadpool says, "Goodbye, little metal amulet thingies. Hello, pointy wooden stick." He throws the other part of the mop at Ceres, and it seemingly goes through him and into the man behind him. Deadpool yells, "Hey, not fair." Says, "When could you do that?" Ceres then grabs Deadpool, telling him, "Not all of us can.
Interested on
Only
a
a special
fight?"
few." He pins Deadpool down, and Madzuki goes to pull something from a hole in the wall, asking, "Is it time?" And Deadpool tells her, "Yeah, now would be nice." Ceres looks at the hole, asking, "What's that?" And suddenly he's hit with a beam of light and bursts into flames. Over in the other room, Madzuki yells, "You did it! But how did you know that this would work?" Deadpool
Talk to
asks,
me.
Turn an X-ray machine into a vampire-killing mega weapon? Google, baby. Have you never heard of Google? Google it. Madzuki steps out of the wall, and Deadpool asks, so, we're pretty much done here, right? Should we go grab a drink? And Madzuki stares at him, telling him no. She has a gunshot wound, and the last thing she should be doing is drinking alcohol. Deadpool nervously says, oh, how about ice cream? And Madzuki tells him, yeah, they can do ice cream. Deadpool yells, cool! Just sit here a moment while I handle some business, and then we can get ice cream. He hurries down to the lower levels and tosses Colvin and the others the ambulance, telling them that this will protect them from the sunlight then. Before Colvin has a chance to respond, Deadpool asks, we good here? Yeah, awesome. See you next time. I gotta go get some ice cream. As
Off
he runs
with you.
back, he yells, you know, I never got your name. And as he looks at the seat where he left Madzuki, he sees her gone. And he sighs, stating that it looks like she went and got ice cream without him. As the sun rises over the Lucky Sevens Motel, Deadpool sits in his bed, stuffing his face watching the late-breaking news. A quiet Virginia neighborhood has been shaken as an explosion erupted inside of the home of the Amalgamated Armament CEO Reginald Harris. Deadpool thinks to himself, where have I heard that name before? The report goes on to state that Reginald, his wife, and his daughter are all suspected of being inside of the home when the explosion went off. Deadpool then asks, did I buy my guns from Reginald? No, wait, it was a job! Though I can't really remember what it was about. The news anchor continues stating that they have one prime suspect in the case. The masked mercenary, known as Deadpool, was seen on Reginald's home security camera earlier this morning. At 3:12 in the morning, Deadpool was seen jumping over the security fence with what they believe was explosives, the ones that were used to destroy Reginald's home. Deadpool stops eating and yells, I did what? Just then, the motel door is kicked in and a voice says, I'll tell you one thing, hombre. That is that you just snuffed me out of one hell of a payday. I was the one who was supposed to punch Harris's ticket. So it would seem that you owe Macho Gomez a whole lot of money. Deadpool stares and asks, who the hell is Macho Gomez? As the Green Galactic mercenary stands in the doorway, Gomez tells him, take a wild guess. Deadpool quickly wipes the food off his mask, telling him, I get a strong impression that you might be new in town, so I'm gonna let you in on a few very important issues here. Gomez tells him, you can stop right there. I've heard a lot about you, and it isn't very impressive. You might be hot stuff on this turd ball of a planet, but where I come from, you ain't crap. So you best come out with all the loot your little hand can get a hold of and fork it over, or I'm gonna take all of my frustrations out on you. Deadpool waits for a moment and then says, sure thing, Macho Gomez, be back in a sec. He whispers as he goes back into his closet, and as he opens up the door, Gomez points a gun at him, telling him, you better not be trying anything stupid. Deadpool tells him, no stupidity at all, my man, just a big old bag of shiny gold coins and a trusty old claymore under all that. A few seconds later, the motel room explodes, throwing Gomez out, and Deadpool comes out yelling, FYI, where I come from, I am crap! As Deadpool looks over the balcony, he sees Gomez laying on top of his space car, and Deadpool tells him, you know, that's a pretty sweet ride, and he turns away. I could finish off Gomez and take his ride, but I have more important hero things to do, like find out who's trying to frame me. Later that night in a forest cabin, Reginald puts his daughter to sleep, and his wife asks, why are they hiding out? Reginald sighs and sits at a table telling her, okay, I've been working with the government on a new project. It involved a new secret technology, weapons technology, alien weapons technology, but I got sabotaged. Reginald's wife slams her hand down asking, you did what? And Reginald goes on stating, I was paid to do it. The government process would have taken so long to develop with their oversight committees, but being privately funded, we have made so much more. Reginald's wife then asks, what did you do, steal it? And Deadpool's voice tells her, nope, I did, because Reginald paid me too. Reginald looks at Deadpool and asks, how did you know? And Deadpool tells him, because the videotape you showed on the news. A few years back when I first stole that thing, that's the video that they showed. So first you sold out the government, and when they came snooping around, you went and pointed the finger at Deadpool. Isn't that right? Reginald says, I had to disappear. I already had all the old footage. It just made sense. I'm sorry. Deadpool takes out his gun, pointing it at Reginald, telling him, yeah, well, I'm not so forgiving at the moment. Before Deadpool could pull the trigger, though, Reginald's daughter runs in shouting, don't shoot my daddy! Deadpool looks at his gun, and he then turns to leave. Reginald tells him, look, I'll pay you whatever you want. And Deadpool tells him, I'm not interested in money. Just stay dead. Reginald tells him, no, there's someone else. Since I've been working on the alien tech, there's someone else after me. His name is Macho Gomez. Deadpool turns back. Okay, normally I'm the dumb one here, but how would stopping Macho Gomez solve your problems? They would just send someone else. Reginald tells him no, they won't. Macho Gomez is the baddest, most feared mercenary in the galaxy. If you take him out, no one is ever going to think about coming after me again. Deadpool says, wait, the guy with the hat? Everyone thinks he's the best? And Reginald tells him, oh yeah, hell yeah he is. Deadpool then says, wait, well, I hate to break it to you, but that guy's a freaking clown. A voice from behind Deadpool tells him, is that right? Then why ain't you laughing? Gomez opens fire on Deadpool and Reginald, with Deadpool quickly running over, shielding Reginald and his family because that's the heroic thing to do. Deadpool tells him, fine, I'll do it, but you can keep the money. This one's on the house. He starts shooting back and he tells Reginald to hurry and take the wife and kid to the bunker. Reginald then asks, you know about the bunker? And Deadpool says, yeah, case the place while you were sleeping. I know about the other thing too. Let's just hope Gomez doesn't. Deadpool runs outside after Gomez asks, where are you at? And just as he asks, a spotlight shines on him. Deadpool looks over to see Gomez standing on his space car, pointing a giant Gatling gun straight at him. As the barrel begins to spin and heat up, Deadpool tells, oh, I'm so going to run now. Once the barrel begins to pick up speed, Gomez begins mowing down the trees trying to hit Deadpool, leaving all but one tree left. He laughs as he sees Deadpool's arm telling him, you're out of your league on this. You ain't nothing but a human. Gomez takes a closer look and he sees Deadpool's arm, but he doesn't see Deadpool. Deadpool jumps up from behind him, telling him, I stopped being human a long time ago, and he tackles him into a tree. He jumps back, grabbing Gomez's gun, and when he aims back, he notices 3 glowing balls by the tree. Deadpool asks, is that what I think they are? And a second later, they explode. Inside of Reginald's bunker, he watches as Gomez runs away from the explosion, and Reginald's wife asks, should they? And Reginald tells her yes. This space pod will take them to the Amalgamated Armament Surveillance Satellite, where they can hide. A few seconds later, Gomez walks into the bunker, telling them, knock, knock. But as he gets into the opening, he sees the escape pod and hears the computer counting down from 10. He laughs, telling them, that's pretty clever. But as I look into it, I don't see anyone inside. Deadpool tells him, thanks. And he kicks Gomez inside, slamming the door shut. As the escape pod takes off, Deadpool sees Gomez's gun, and he hurries outside, firing the gun. Gomez kicks open the escape pod, and as he does, he sees the explosive from the gun. The explosive goes off, and Gomez is blown away. Deadpool says that he just beat Gomez's butt with one arm literally tied to his back. After reattaching his arm, Deadpool decided that now that everyone has seen his skills on Earth, it's time for the people on other planets to know just how much of a bamf he is. Screw trying to be a hero. It's time to go back to being a merc. And all these suckers are on notice. Before we get back to the adventure of Deadpool, we have to look back to 6 years to an event involved with the planet of Angula. There, the alien Wongus tells his beloved Baluza that when he returns from war, he wishes to start a family with her, so that they can live happily ever after. With love in her heart, Bazula then accepts Wongus's proposal, and then turns to the night sky so that the two of them can spend what little time they have left together. The two look up into the starry sky, and Bazula then asks why are there 2 moons out tonight, and Wongus tells her that it's not a moon, that's... But before he could finish, the 2 lovers are vaporized as a sentient planet crashes into Angula, laughing hysterically. Out in space aboard the command ship of the Angulan Defense Fleet, Commander Kak watches his homeworld be reduced to nothing more than space dust. Kak sits back in his chair telling everyone that it's been an honor serving with them, and that's when there's a loud snort. Kak looks out the window to see where his planet once was, and all of the debris has just disappeared. Kak tells his men that there is only one thing that could have done this. He's gonna find the last of the remaining Angulians to stop this threat. Fast forward 6 years to the present, and everyone's favorite mercenary Deadpool finds himself stranded in the middle of nowhere. Lucky for him, Gomez's space car automatically sent out a distress signal when he ran out of gas. Moments after the signal goes out, a blinding light shines onto the car and a voice comes over the radio stating, "Got your distress call, Macho. We'll be back at the station in a second." A few moments later, at the Funzel Towing and Recovering Agency, the tow driver, Obe, tells Futzel that it looks like Macho ran out of gas again. And Futzel then says, what is he, wasted? And Deadpool tells him, I'd say, because I'm the one who wasted him. Name's Deadpool, perhaps you've heard of me. Futzel then looks at Deadpool and says, did you really kill Gomez? Because if you did, there will be consequences for doing that. Deadpool tells him, I sure did. Whatever, bring on whoever. More importantly, you've heard of me, right? Like, really, have you guys heard of me? Just then, a female's voice calls out, stating, you killed my man! And suddenly, Deadpool is headbutted across the room by a large alien woman. Futzel tells Deadpool, meet my sister Orxa, Gomez's wife. Orxa shouts that, I am going to chop down on that stupid head of yours! And Deadpool pulls up his mask, responding the only way that he knows how. by kissing Orkska.
My
Deadpool
mana is
pulls down his
low.
mask, laughing, stating, "Ha ha!" stops him every time. And then she grabs Deadpool, lovingly shouting, "I accept!" And Futzel says, "Oh, damn it, not again." Orkska pulls Deadpool down, and Futzel says, "All right then, welcome to the family business, brother." And Deadpool says, "Wait, did I just marry her? Sweet, come here." Soon after a very brief honeymoon, Deadpool walks into Futzel's office wearing a robe, stating, "Okay, what's this family business stuff?" Futzel says that they're a towing and recovery business, just like the sign says. They repo and salvage anything of value. Gomez was brought in to help Oob with the repos, but after he hooked up with his sister, he also became his partner. Gomez wanted to branch out into skip traces, bond revocations, and other stuff. He was the best they had. Deadpool says, "Right, until Gomez met me." And Funksel asks, "So you gonna carry on where Gomez left off?" And Deadpool shouts, "That's right! We're going intergalactic, baby!" And Funzel tells him that they already have an intergalactic squad. The sign says that too. After a few moments of awkward silence, Oob then comes in stating that he's got a job to head out to. And Deadpool jumps up stating, "I want to go too!" Funzel tells him, "All right, fine. You can start learning how we do things around here, but I need you to do this quickly and quietly. You can do that, right?" And Deadpool smiles. Later over at the mining planet of U-235, bullets fly over Deadpool and Oob's head. And Deadpool pushes Oob down, stating, "Do you know what low profile means? Who are these guys?" Oob says that they're the Exto clan. They're the toughest group of mercenaries in the galaxy. And Deadpool then asks, "Why are they shooting at us? Did you guys miss a payment or something?" And Oob tells him, "No, I think they're hired to protect the mine. It is a uranium mine." And Deadpool says, "Okay, I got a plan." Once the shooting dies down, the mercenaries look around asking, "Did we get them?" And then from behind, the mining drill turns on, and out of the top of it, Deadpool yells, "Greetings, space people! I am Deadpool!" And one of the mercenaries asks who, and after shooting the other alien, Deadpool tells him, "I'm the guy you're going to tell everyone about." Back at Funzel's, Funzel tells Oob that they have to do something. Deadpool's going to put them out of business. What can they do? He's family. Oob tells him, well, Gomez was too, until he died. Know what I'm saying? Orkska deserves someone who knows what a wonderful woman she is. Let me make a few calls, and I might be able to solve both of our problems. A short while later, Oob knocks on Orkska's door, and she opens it standing in her tiny bikini, and Oob asks, "Is Deadpool around?" Deadpool, who for whatever the reason is also in a bikini, shouts, "Well, yo!" Oob walks in and tells him that he's got a job for him, a merc job, and Deadpool yells, "Sweet!" As Deadpool follows Oob back out, Oob introduces him to Commander Kak. And Deadpool asks, "What's the gig about?" Kak says that they are the last surviving members of the Angulian civilization. They are willing to pay him an extremely large sum for his aid on the destruction of the intergalactic entity known as ID, the Selfish Moon. Oob whispers that this may be too dangerous for him, and Deadpool
It's too
asks,
far away.
"You want me to kill a planet?" Kak tells him, "Well, it is a moon," and Deadpool says, "Come on, say it! It's a planet." Kak sighs, telling him, "Yes, we need your help killing a planet." Deadpool hugs him, stating, "Aw, come here." The next day, Kak rallies his fellow Angulians to inform them that today is the day that they will get revenge for the murder of their beloved planet. Today, they will be joined by a fierce warrior from a faraway galaxy who will lay down his life to preserve the memory of Angula. But before Kak can introduce Deadpool, one of Kak's officers whispers something into his ear, and he says, "You've gotta be freaking kidding me." Back at Funzel's, Deadpool tells Funzel that they could get a tow truck to lift Orkska off them. That would be great. I would have called Oob myself, but I can't reach the phone. Once Deadpool is freed from his love-making, he boards Kak's command vessel and says, "You know, I didn't expect my ship to be so, crappy." Kak tells him that over the years they had to sell off components of their ship in order to
can't
fund
test
their
that
quest
yet.
and pay him. But never mind that, it is time for them to go over the plan of operation. Id has been spotted at the Dekraken coordinate. They believe that he is targeting the planet of Aurora because it is a populated state. Deadpool says, "So this planet eats other planets?" Well, before I could fully visualize the whole thing, I'm gonna need Id's origin story. Kak sighs, "Fine. In the Black Galaxy a very long time ago, there was nothing. But through the collection of dusts and gases, Ego, the living planet, was born, and in his shadow, Id. Ego fought against the Regalian explorers who showed up in hopes of keeping Id and his existence secret. But Id, he wanted the party. After having some choice words with Ego, Id left and traveled the galaxy hooking up with people like him, but he quickly realized that there was no others like him. He was alone. Dementia eventually set in, and Id decided to continue his quest in order to find people to party with. His journey would take him to Kegger 24/7, the planet that is always partying. But since he couldn't actually party with them because, well, he's a moon, Id used his ability to produce seismic waves of catastrophic forces and destroyed the planet. He breathed in the destruction of the planet, and all of the senseless deaths and sudden terror ignited something in him, giving him a sense of a deranged euphoria. Like most who experience it, Id wants more. And Deadpool tells him, "Let me get this straight. Id goes around destroying planets, he snorts up all the space dust that it creates, and then he gets high. That's the most messed up thing that I have ever heard. And Cat continues on explaining, while Id prepares to destroy Aurelia, we're going to need to begin our attack. They will launch Deadpool in a tube rocket onto Id, and from there a powerful drill will burrow deep into Id, carrying a nuclear explosive which will be detonated remotely. Deadpool thinks about it and says that that's a pretty original plan. No one has ever thought of it or did it in a movie. Count me in. But I do have one question. What about the people of Aurelia? Cac tells them that in order for the mission to be successful, they will need a sufficient extraction. The Aurelians will provide that. One planet will die so that many others may live. Deadpool pulls his gun out, pointing it to Cac's head, stating, yeah,
time for
about
dinner."
that plan's not gonna work. Who else knows how to drive this ship? No one answers, and Deadpool shoots Cac in the arm and says, okay, how about now? And one of the officers tells Deadpool that he could do it. Deadpool tells him, good, this plan isn't going to happen, so you're gonna need a new plan. Deadpool has the officer fly him down to Aurelia, and he tells his people that their planet is about to be blown up by some massive, insane moon with an addiction problem.